So I died on Earth, woke up in a fantasy world, and the very first thing the universe handed me was a stat panel that outed me as a pervert. We'll get there. Give me a second. My name is Zhou Feng. Today, I turn 18. For 2 years, I've been playing the world's most boring busboy in a slum tavern called The Three Kittens. On purpose. This world runs on a system. Think cosmic Wi-Fi, run by an entity everyone calls Mother Human Race Luck. Her killer app is the attribute panel. Everyone unlocks one at 18. It shows your stats, your class, your growth cap. It does not lie. Which is a huge problem because I had a lot to hide. I had 4 system cards stitched inside my coat. A sword, a shield, leather armor, my whole net worth basically, and I couldn't even use any of it yet. Panel wasn't live. So I kept quiet, kept my head down, let everyone think I was just a hard-working orphan. Which, fine, I was. I just left out the part where I remember an entire other life, and the part where a demon tide burned my first family down in front of me. I've been carrying that like a hot coal for 2 years, waiting for today. One last look at my 5-square-meter closet of a room. Not gonna miss it. I turned around and walked. Downstairs, Agnes ambushed me with cheap perfume and an offer on the house. I dodged the arm and said no thanks. She called me a blockhead and didn't even offer to help herself up off the floor she fell into out of spite. Fair. Down here, the low professions get treated like garbage. I never did that to her. Apparently, that's rare enough to be memorable. She yelled, "Good luck with women," at my back as I left. Rude. Accurate. Still rude. Then the proprietress, cold as a fridge, tried to keep my ID card hostage, gave me the classic "exploration is dangerous" speech. I've thought it through, I told her. She hated that answer. Then the boss showed up. Don't let the limp fool you. Gruff old guy, walks crooked, and is secretly a Tier 3 combat monster. Overruled his wife on the spot. Handed back my ID, then tossed me 2 more cards. A bow, 200 iron arrows. Investment in the young, he said. I bowed low. In 2 years, my labor made those 2 10 gold coins under a system contract. Call the arrows a rebate. Then I stepped outside and inhaled pure, unfiltered sewage. Freedom smells terrible, by the way. Medieval fantasy world. Exhibit A. Filthy streets. Beggars. Gangs everywhere. Elves and dwarves down here look exactly as malnourished as the humans. Turns out my childhood elf fantasy, elegant, noble, immortal, only applies to the rich ones. The poor elves just farm dirt and glare at you. Economic base determines superstructure, apparently, even for pointy ears. My inner child took a hit that morning. Behind me, the tavern kept talking. The wife complained she'd been too generous. The boss shrugged. He earned us 10 gold in 2 years, he said. Then, quieter. That's the system contract talking, not us. A long sigh followed. That's the whole eulogy I got. At the Adventurers Guild, the clerk pulled my file and did a double take. Reputation, 100 out of 100. Perfect score. In a world where 70 counts as a saint, that's rarer than a demigod awakening. Not a flex, a liability. It means I'm physically incapable of the shady, low-profile moves that would help me blend in. My leftover Earth conscience won't allow it. Too honest to hide, that's me, tragic hero of nobody's story. Behind the perfect score sat the real file. Happy family, demon tide, dead parents, past life memories creeping in right on schedule. Spent every coin I had on the qualification, waited half a year for a Tawana slot to open. The clerk went soft, called me little brother, told me to wait for my awakening before picking a world. Stay alive first, she said. Thanks, sister, working on it. On the way to the teleport plaza, the crowd suddenly parted like the ocean. Lin Wei, blonde, pointed ears, the kind of beautiful that makes strangers forget how to breathe. Top aristocratic family, top awakening talent, basically a princess with better PR. She looked right at me, smiled, nodded. I did a stiff little knight's salute because my brain refused to generate an actual response. Somewhere behind me, a stranger whispered, "Mom, I'm in love." Same, buddy, same. Within 5 minutes, 2 separate incidents happened where total strangers seemed to be hunting for me specifically. No idea why. Didn't check my horoscope. Filed it under accident and moved on, because overthinking free real estate in my brain is a rookie mistake. At the teleport gate, a Tier 3 sword and shield squad walked past in full armor. I stared with the kind of envy usually reserved for supercars. That's what real backing looks like. Troops are recruited through barracks or picked up wild off dead enemies as drop cards. Everybody wants them. The reason is simple. Loyalty. Then the system pinged. Welcome to the adventurer ranks, Zhou Feng, it said. Mother Human Race Luck protects you wherever you go. Pick a small world based on talent, or choose your own. Stepping through felt like walking out of the Middle Ages straight into a hologram showroom. Dozens of tiny worlds flickered past me. Farms, war zones, bandit camps. All temporary, all set to dissolve after 7 days, built cheap on purpose to keep the newbie casualty rate low. Then one prompt caught my eye. Murloc Sacred Mountain, refreshing at 9 a.m. sharp. Reach the summit in under an hour, get a mystery reward. I watched the clock like a hawk. 9 o'clock hit. I clicked in without a second thought. No nausea, no stumble. I landed like I was walking into my own living room. Waterfall, pond, fish smell, shadowy figures moving around the water. System ping. This world dies in 7 days, or once every Murloc is dead. Explorer slot count, 1 out of 5. Murlocs, 100 out of 100. Standard starter dungeon. Except my head immediately whispered a second voice. Go left, it said. Find the big rock on the back mountain. There's a path there the Murlocs can't watch. I don't know if my golden finger is a gift or somebody's prank, but I wasn't about to argue with free advice. Tiptoed left. The rock looked completely vertical. No visible path anywhere. Then I spotted a gap, barely wide enough for my shoulders. Climbed it with both hands and both feet shaking the whole time. 10 meters up, the slope eased off. Murlocs never guarded this side. Short legs, no water, no motivation. Half an hour later, I was standing quietly on the summit, completely undetected. 30 Murlocs down there, one shaman running the show. Weak individually, dangerous in a mob. And I still didn't have my panel yet, so no stats to lean on. While I was scheming, the voice piped up again. Wait 10 minutes, it said. I waited. 5 minutes in, the shaman marched the whole squad down the mountain. I stayed frozen. 10 minutes on the dot, 2 more heads popped out of the pond and slunk toward what turned out to be storage. Lucky nobody moved early. Sneaking a village blind only works if you stay boring. I crept past the soft dirt, stuck to the hard stone, and reached the pond up top. Lotus roots, lotus leaves, one absolutely massive blue lotus glowing in the center. Smelled like pure relaxation. Attribute Green Lotus, the label read. 5 seeds. 1 seed heals 1 point of health. My eyes went full dollar signs. Don't touch it, the voice snapped. Not ripe for another day. Also, there's a giant piranha guarding the bottom of that pond. The actual good stuff is behind the waterfall. Fine. I listened. I always listen. It's basically my superpower. Behind the waterfall, nothing. 2 boring flower buds and a whole lot of nothing. Then the voice got weirdly formal. Twin Lotus, it said. A wondrous object. My heart rate spiked to basically 200. Wonders in this world start at tens of thousands of gold and go up from there. Some are wanted by actual gods. Don't touch. Is it either? The voice added, because of course it did. Wait for it to bloom, then catch it in a jade basin. 10 seconds, no more, no less. Bloom early, ruin it. Bloom late, it withers. No pressure at all. I clicked my card, popped the jade flower pot into existence, filled it with water, and pointed it forward. Hands shaking. 1 minute felt like a year. The first petal trembled. Then it opened, and it was, honestly, the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in either of my lives. I nearly got hypnotized on the spot, bit my own tongue to snap out of it. Pain works. Pain always works. Last second, I slid the basin under the flower and caught it clean. Ding! Rare item obtained, Twin Lotus. Convert to card? Yes. 1,000 times yes. Card appeared, glowing with quiet nobility, and I gripped it so hard my knuckles turned white. Snuck back past the waterfall, past the still clueless guards, and out. Comedy option only. I looked like a soaked monkey the whole way down and did not care one bit. Money secured. That's the only stat that mattered. Behind me, the 2 Murlocs came back rubbing their bellies, sniffed the air, twitched, decided the smell was nothing, went back to being Murlocs. Lucky them. Lucky me, more. Back at base camp, I lost it laughing, torn clothes and all, staring at my new card like a winning lottery ticket. 10:40 a.m. Ding! Your panel attributes have been unlocked. First thought in my head wasn't even about my stats. It was, Soulbind Twin Lotus, right now, before anything else happens. Once bound, an item can't be traded, dropped, or stolen. Confirm? Absolutely, definitely, yes. I bound it purely out of paranoia. A wonder-tier item in a poor kid's pocket is a giant target on my back. Ding! Binding successful. The card vanished into my soul, and I finally exhaled. Then I read what Twin Lotus actually does. Dual professions, dual identities, dual territories. My brain short-circuited a little. Normally, 2 classes fight each other for energy, sometimes violently enough to explode your body. This erases that problem entirely. Dual identity is basically a perfect disguise in a world of constant surveillance. Dual territory means double the population cap later. In short, it's an absolute cheat code disguised as a flower. Grinning like an idiot, I finally opened my own panel. Name, Zhou Feng. Race, human. Age, 18. Reputation, 100 out of 100. Occupation, undecided. Lord Talent, Kingdom of Women. Title, Survivor of the Demonic Tide. And then the stats. Strength, 7. Agility, 6. Constitution, 6. Intelligence, 8. Spirit, 8. Charisma, 9. Luck, infinite. Hidden. My face froze. Kingdom of Women. Excuse me? That's just slander with extra steps. I know I liked some questionable mods in my old life, but come on. Model citizen, perfect reputation, and the universe hands me this label? I'm not that kind of person. I said that out loud to nobody several times. Once I calmed down, I understood the rarity math. Poor talent, roughly a third of people. Average, half. Blank slate, no talent at all, most of everyone. Elite comes in at 1 in 10. Rare, 1 in 100. Exceptional, 1 in 1,000. Hero talent, 1 in 10,000. And that's the tier where you start getting bonuses commanding whole troop types. Above that, only 2 tiers exist. Lord, 1 in 100,000, ruling entire populations, sometimes wielding actual dragon chi late game. Demigod, 1 in a million, 10,000 years of lifespan, a slice of actual divine authority. Levels literally equal lifespan up there. That's why people like Lin Wei are famous the second they're born. I never expected any of that for myself. Elite would have already been a huge win. Lord talent means Lord disputes, powerful enemies, actual stakes. I wanted background character energy, safe, quiet, unbothered. Instead, I got dragged straight into the deep end on day 1. Kingdom of Women, in detail. Immune to all female unit penalties, plus a resistance bonus scaling with the male-to-female ratio in my army, up to 30%, with a special unlock at 100% female. Downgrade this 1 level, and it's basically a god-tier hero talent. Most heroes can only run 1 race, with maybe 1 support race before morale collapses. I can mix anything, build the perfect legion, add the special resistance on top, and suddenly I'm nearly unkillable by physical, magic, or biological damage. Genuinely broken if I ever get the population to use it. Except it's a Lord talent, and Lords need territory, and territory means logistics, and logistics means feeding, housing, and yes, reproduction. 3,000 beauties sounds fun until you do the actual math. 10 concubines a day means 10 months just to rotate through a harem once. My body would file for divorce from itself. Without the Twin Lotus, this talent would have been unplayable at my level. With it, merely brutally difficult instead of impossible. I complained out loud that an elite talent would have been so much easier. Nobody was there to hear me. Nobody cared. Combat stats, I was actually happy with. World average is 5 across the board. Mine sat above that everywhere, leaning intelligence and spirit. Charisma 9, 1 shy of the world cap. Pretty boy priest material, apparently. I briefly wondered if that's why Lin Wei smiled at me, then immediately talked myself out of it. She's a literal goddess. I'm a commoner. That gap doesn't close on eye contact alone. Traits. Higher education, 20% bonus experience. Leather armor equipped, self-explanatory. Then 2 weirder ones. Child of time and space, meaning I've crossed 2 timelines and gained a natural affinity for both. Darling of fate, which the panel describes as something even powerful gods can't achieve. Just average, 3rd in the world, I muttered, deeply unconvinced by my own sarcasm. Skills, appraisal, general tier, and its upgraded cousin time search, which digs up hidden info from something like a cosmic archive. Language proficiency, general, basic sword and shield, seal card, a spatial skill, fee guidance, passive, the voice in my head this whole time. And it comes with 3 separate energy bars for time, space, and fate, all auto-recharging, so I don't turn into a dead battery the second I lean too hard on one skill. Fate guidance itself runs on stored luck. It saved me once already, back when the demon tide hit and I was a terrified kid. That drain broke something open inside me and let me survive it all. It just drained again today, fully, to find a Twin Lotus. But the Lotus was so absurdly valuable, it refilled my luck bank straight back up to 30. A rare item that expensive, paying for itself in real time. Terrifying, honestly, how close that call must have been. Then, being paranoid, I built a second identity. Name, Zhou Feng. Same age, same reputation. Elite talent, daughter's beauty. Stats scaled down across the board, traits trimmed to just the basics. Because it's genuinely real, thanks to Twin Lotus, even a high-level appraisal reads it as true. From now on, that's the face I show the world. Mediocre, forgettable, safe. Panel opened. Time to actually work the dungeon. I remembered there was still a second Green Lotus batch up top. For a starter world, that's an absurd amount of farmable spirit plant. Most runs consider 1 gold coin a jackpot. A commoner family lives a whole month on 1 silver. This pond alone was worth close to 1,000 gold. Adventuring pays well. It also kills you fast if you get lazy. I worked my way back down, hit a wandering murloc, and appraised it out of habit. Strength 2. Agility 2 on land, 5 in water. Constitution 2. Intelligence 1. Cannon fodder trait, stupid trait, both amphibious and egg-laying. The word stupid was practically tattooed on its forehead. Didn't bother with time search on trash mobs. Shot my ordinary bow, first arrow skidded harmlessly off its slime layer, no real damage, just noise. Second shot, at closer range, nearly dropped one outright. Third arrow slowed a leg. Then I closed in with sword and shield, blocked a spear thrust, cracked one skull with a downward slash off the height advantage. Digital bodies, no gore, just a clean little collapse. The remaining two saw their pack cut by a third and instantly lost their nerve. Morale broke, they bolted on those useless short legs, and I finished them off before they'd gone 10 steps. Total loot from 3 kills, 1 stone spear, not even worth the arrows I burned getting it. Kicked the spear out of pure frustration. This is adventuring, apparently, mostly grinding pennies while praying for the rare jackpot. 40 minutes and 30 dead murlocs later, my higher education bonus finally paid off. Ding, archery, beginner, unlocked. Small win, I'll take it. Even the murlocs eventually noticed something was wrong and started clumping up defensively. Right as I considered pushing harder, the system interrupted with new arrivals. 2 out of 5. Then, almost instantly, 5 out of 5. Nearly 2 hours in, that's not weird timing. Being filled that fast is weird timing. 4 strangers walked in. Lin Wei again, and 3 others in clothes way too nice for random adventurers. Kalen, tall, arrogant, barely tolerated my handshake. Reputation 82, occupation noble. Draven, overly friendly at first, Lord Talent Mountain Conqueror. Kalen, quiet, unreadable, hero talent swordsman, nodded once, like that counted as a whole conversation. Lin Wei introduced everyone with genuine warmth. Draven shook my hand, then immediately ran an unauthorized high-level appraisal scan on me, no asking. That's basically the etiquette equivalent of stripping a stranger in public. Rule 1 of adventuring, don't scan people without consent. Lin Wei tore into him for it. He apologized to her, not to me, and muttered something about not knowing why she bothered introducing a commoner, loud enough for everyone to hear. Cool. Great guy. Love that for me. I shrugged it off. Status gap's real, being looked down on isn't new, and forcing myself into their circle wasn't going to change anything. What actually worried me was the timing. Rich, talented kids like these don't randomly stumble into a starter dungeon. They came for something specific. The question was how much they actually knew. Just the ordinary Green Lotus, or the Twin Lotus too? Kalen asked, calm as ever, if I'd found anything valuable. I answered carefully, true, but incomplete. Scouted the base of the mountain, found nothing. The only path up is blocked by murlocs. All true, just not the whole picture. He nodded and let it go, expression never once shifting. That guy unsettles me more than the obvious jerks ever could. The group summoned troops at the water's edge. Lin Wei's wood elf archers, Kalen's sword and shield soldiers, basically my exact loadout, which stung a little. Kalen's squad turned out to be knight squires, a noble unit worth 2 or 3 of me easily. Turns out the whole party, minus me, is capped at 1 squad of common troops each too. Some universal fairness rule. Took a tiny bit of the sting off. Kalen also spotted the flanking route around the pond's rock wall almost instantly. Arrogant, sure, not dumb. Crossing the wall via grappling hook, the murlocs in the water finally noticed. Lin Wei whispered a warning before I even asked. Careful, the leader's a shaman. I passed the warning along anyway. Staying quiet out of spite felt petty. Even for me. She winked at me afterward. This woman is trouble, I thought immediately. Correctly, as it turned out. Water arrow, then a lightning bolt riding the same water, aimed straight at the only ranged unit worth sniping. Lin Wei blocked the first hit clean. I caught the second with my shield. Wood shield, being poor, has upsides sometimes. Only took 10 damage off the splash. We locked eyes for a second. Hero saving the beauty, I thought. Are you sick? She thought, apparently at the exact same moment. Neither of us said it out loud. Murlocs retreated the second the ambush failed, and weirdly, nobody chased. Draven just stood there. Nobody said anything. Nobody's willing to spend their own troops helping anyone else. That's the whole team dynamic in one sentence. 20 minutes later, we hit the real blockade. Narrow, single-file path, cliffs on both sides, murlocs raining stones from 30 meters up. Arrows couldn't reach with any force. Shields cracked fast under the barrage. Lin Wei leaned in and whispered again, Murlocs this smart means something valuable up top? Don't get scammed. I looked around and realized everyone had quietly repositioned guards around themselves. Cunning bastards, every last one of them. I'm apparently the only honest person on this expedition, which is a genuinely terrifying thought. Kalen eventually opened the floor for ideas because nobody wanted to volunteer troops. Draven suggested finding whoever had the most spare HP and pushing them through as a meat shield. Everyone's eyes slowly drifted toward me. I cursed Draven's ancestors, silently, at length. No wonder he hides his own reputation score. Then I did the smartest thing I've done all day. I said fine, on conditions. 10 of the sturdiest shields, first. Granted instantly, they were terrified I wouldn't take enough. A Knight class buff for my HP, second, at half price thanks to Kalen's noble discount, which Kalen pointed out unprompted. Granted, through gritted teeth. And a cut of whatever's found up the mountain, sealed under a system fair contract, so nobody could quietly cheat me later. Kalen agreed to all three, doing sunk cost math in his head the whole time. Draven fumed about commoners getting ideas above their station. Cool, great guy. Still love that for me. I burned the class scroll on the spot. Ding! Congratulations, Knight Squire. Stat bumps every 5 levels. Mount bonus unlocked. Riding and spear skills added. Plus a Virtue Knight title for keeping my reputation at 100. HP jumped from 220 to 280. Not a huge deal yet at level 1, but every point matters when you're about to walk into stone-throwing range on purpose. Lin Wei insisted on following me in. For ranged support, she said, plus her own divine safety net. I won't die even if you do, she said. Somehow that wasn't reassuring at all. I genuinely could not figure out what a demigod-tier heiress wanted with a random commoner. Behind us, Kalen and Draven exchanged a smug little look, assuming her presence guaranteed an easy clear. Draven, though, kept glancing up at the summit with actual worry on his face. Contradictions everywhere on this team. I wasn't walking in blind, either. My fate guidance stayed quiet the whole approach. No warnings at all. That's the closest thing to a green light I get. That's exactly why I agreed to the whole gamble, and quietly decided to fleece these rich kids while I was at it. A Knight Scroll alone costs 10 gold, real-world purchasing power in the 6 figures. Worth the risk. Right at the edge of stone-throwing range, a scream cracked out from the summit, followed by an alarm bell. The Murloc shaman panicked and led the entire camp charging straight down at us in a full, uncoordinated retreat. "Kill them!" someone yelled. "The enemy's running!" I didn't need telling twice. Cannon fodder plus broken morale is a British combination when you're on the winning end of it. The whole camp collapsed into a rout. Lin Wei's archers cleaned up stragglers at the top, and the pond's giant piranha, half mad on blood in the water, finished off anyone dumb enough to swim for it. I noticed something odd later. That first scream wasn't a murloc. It sounded human. Some sly fox spooked the camp first and accidentally did me a huge favor. Bad luck turning into good luck. The story of my whole morning. At the summit, the pond held a mature, property blue lotus, worth roughly 1,000 gold. Almost exactly Kalen's entire travel budget. Explained a lot about his stinginess. Turns out he grew up parked with a farming family as a kid. 1 silver a month allowance, despite the family fortune. Standard rich kid character development. Lin Wei confirmed it needed 1 more day to ripen. Kalen ordered cleanup, sneered at Draven for standing around uselessly earlier, and Kalen quietly asked me why nobody killed the piranha. Because it's a free guard dog, he said, before I even answered. So this is what elite noble kids think like. I felt very small. Camp that night, everyone retreated into separate tents. No group dinner, no bonding. Lin Wei explained it plainly. On the great expedition, today's ally is tomorrow's enemy. Trust nobody. Then she called me a teachable child and walked off. I set up my own tent nearby anyway. Reasoning. Beautiful women statistically threaten me less than a pack of shady noblemen. Not a high bar, admittedly. That evening, she invited me out to look at plants. Fitted hunting outfit. Did absolutely nothing for my concentration. We ended up talking for hours. Agriculture, construction, territory design, and somehow we clicked on every single point. She was stunned, I thought, in terms of resource territories versus military fortresses, instead of just where to put the stables. Turns out, I think like a lord, not an architect. Dinner followed, full noble etiquette, which I fumbled through admirably. I declined her offer to keep talking, retreated to my own tent instead. A soft bed is where heroes go to die, and I intended to survive this arc. Then she snuck into my tent anyway, curled straight into my arm, whispered, "Shh, it's me," and fell asleep. I spent the entire night rigid, silently counting sheep, 100% convinced this was sleepwalking. The alternative was too much to process. Morning came, she stretched, mentioned last night was peaceful and also, quote, too delicious, and strolled out. She'd been awake the whole time. The clown, it turns out, was me. I called her a little vixen to an empty tent and went back to sleep out of sheer emotional exhaustion. Harvest day arrived. Draven yanked the giant piranha out with hooked bait and claimed it, uncontested, since nobody else lifted a finger. Then Lin Wei walked out onto the pond itself, and the water simply held her. Lotus leaves rose to catch her steps. Every plant in the pond leaned toward her like she was the sun. She plucked 5 ripe seeds and floated one to each of us. I ate mine the instant it touched my hand. No hesitation. The fair contract's protection expired the second the loot changed hands. I did not trust this group with 1 extra second of exposure. The seed grants +1 vitality after 7 days, if your stat's under the world cap, or heals a fatal wound instead if you die first. Basically, a life insurance policy shaped like a snack. Draven glared, furious I hadn't sold it to him for 10 gold, like some kind of insult to his generosity. Kaylin nodded pleasantly and vanished. Only Lin Wei stayed behind. She promised not to compete for the regular lotus roots in the pond, so I dove in like a kid chasing coins in a fountain. First grab, pure luck, a semi-spirit root worth 10 silver, which explained exactly why she'd bowed out gracefully. Her elf archers bathed at the nearby waterfall while I dug. Yes, I looked, openly. I have flaws, and money was still the bigger priority. An hour later, I'd cleared the whole pond. 10 semi-spirit roots, about 100 caddies of ordinary ones, a haul bigger than most entire adventures bring home. Over tea afterward, she mentioned 2 other parties had already reached the summit, courtesy of her plant network. She's the actual goddess of agriculture, remember? Then she leaned in close to whisper something in my ear. I put an arrow past her head instead. She didn't flinch, didn't question it, just spun and had her archers volley the empty air behind me on pure trust. A black-clad figure bled into visibility with an arrow through its thigh. Invisible until that exact second, undetected even by my own golden finger. Us leaning in close apparently cracked its concentration. We pinned it fast. It screamed something about the glory of the Holy Church, dissolved itself into a curse, and flew straight at Lin Wei. I threw my shield in the way. It ate the hit and melted a half-meter crater into solid ground. That curse was built specifically to eat divine power, built to kill a demigod. Its stats were the part that actually scared me. Legendary potential, in a disposable starter world where even elite should be impossible. Not even her own god-blooded family could smuggle something like that in officially. Its final skill, sacrifice, isn't something any demigod can grant. That points to a true god, or worse, something crawling up from the abyss. Reaching straight into the heartland of the human race, planting a killer there completely unnoticed. Lin Wei went pale. She understood the scale of this far better than I did. She had to leave immediately to investigate and warn her family. Before she went, she kissed my cheek, pressed 100 gold coins and a Forest of Fairies membership card into my hands. I tried to refuse. "You don't think my life's worth less than 100 gold, do you?" she said flatly. Then she was gone. I stood there holding the card. Her intentions were basically already declared at this point. My broke boy pride still couldn't say anything back. Should I offer her pickles and black bread on our first date? Absolutely not. I took the money anyway. 100 gold is a fortune, and starting capital buys what talent alone can't. Small bonus, the assassin itself dropped as a legendary troop card, lost its divine curse and its sacrifice skill in the process, but kept existence erasure. I summoned her to test her out, and immediately got a dagger pressed to my own throat mid-demonstration. Can't beat my own bodyguard? Great. Noted her bones don't seem to work like normal human bones. Noted her charisma sits at a very average 6. Then, with exactly 1 brain cell dedicated to romance, I named her Lin Wei, after my crush. Don't judge me. I stepped out of the small world right as it began its usual collapse. Except this time, it froze mid-disintegration. A giant golden eye opened directly over the mountain, studied the whole scene with something close to surprise, then vanished. The world finished crumbling into origin. Something enormous had just noticed me. No idea what. Filed under problems for later. Back at the teleport plaza, fate guidance flickered hard, drained a huge chunk of my luck reserve, 25 down to 15, just to deliver its next message. In pieces. A man's waist must be strong. The gears of fate are turning. Your girlfriend is about to fall into a massive conspiracy. Enter the teleport point at exactly 6 a.m. tomorrow. Stay 6 hours. Enter the newly spawned world at the very last second to clear your name. Then enjoy yourself fully, because that one's your paradise. Bizarrely specific, deeply unhelpful on details. Classic golden finger behavior. I'm broke, she's rich, and my golden finger didn't flag any of this as a trap. You take that gamble every single time. So obviously I decided to save her. First though, I needed gear better than a wooden shield and a prayer. I took her membership card to the Forest of Fairies in the city center, walked straight out of the medieval slums, straight into what might as well have been a modern luxury mall. Greeters in slit cheaphouse. A members-only database of gear I'd never have been allowed near as a commoner. That card alone was worth more than the gold. With Twin Lotus active, I could finally hold 2 classes without my organs exploding from energy conflict. Knight, already handled on the physical side. Now I needed a magic class. Mage was the obvious pick, strongest, most flexible, and also Completely wrong for me. Mage is a solo heroes class. I'm a lord. Everything I build has to feed a territory, not one flashy show-off. So I passed and picked Druid instead. Life magic, nature magic. It opens a whole second tech tree. And it happens to line up perfectly with Lin Wei's agriculture divinity and her future wood elf believer base. A druid lord and a farming goddess building the same green kingdom from two directions. I told myself it was pure strategy. It was also extremely convenient. Paid 10 gold for the scroll, painfully, since a basic warrior class only runs 1 gold at this tier. Ding! Novice druid, skill acquired, heart of nature, passive. Immediately it interviewed me. What is nature? It asked. Everything in the universe is nature, I answered, because subtlety has never been my strength. How do you protect it? Development is protection. Growth is the goal, I said. Then added that literally everything falls under my protection. Bacteria, whole worlds, all of it. Even the heart of nature seemed a little stunned by the ambition. No bonus for that answer. Still passed, though, gaining life affinity, passive, and light spell, my first actual active spell, weak, but mine. Checked my knight class next. Still incomplete, missing the breathing technique needed to actually form a proper knight's heart. The cheapest one in the store costs 100 gold I do not have. No rush, though. Good techniques get passed down like heirlooms, and I've got time before I need to rank up. Then I made the mistake of browsing troop prices. Female units under 6 charisma cost roughly the same as male units. Cross 6 charisma, price triples instantly. A handful of 7 charisma units were priced at 5 times normal. Meanwhile, the cheap under 5 options were described charitably as gaunt, pockmarked, and generally unfortunate looking. Great options, universe. Overpay dramatically, or recruit units nobody would want to look at over breakfast. Truly a fair and balanced economy. Right as I was spiraling, fate guidance flickered again. Perhaps a goblin is a good choice, it offered, helpfully. Drained my remaining 15 fate points down to absolute 0. For the privilege. 15 points. For a goblin. The apocalyptic conspiracy warning earlier only costs 10. I don't understand this pricing model at all, but I've learned not to argue with free advice, even insulting free advice. Universally despised race goblins, and for a reason. Common goblins are basically normal, both genders, unremarkable. Forced breeding goblins are the actual scandal. All male, no reproductive isolation with literally any species, up to and including dragons. They secrete a hormone that permanently devotes any female to them after enough exposure. Their most famous conquest was an actual female dragon looking for a new experience. That triggered a multi-planes war. Titans got involved, possibly true gods once footage leaked. That single incident tanked the reputation of the entire goblin race, forever, everywhere. Green-skinned goblins, the kind in this store, are genderless spore organisms that photosynthesize, meaning they're absurdly cheap to feed and house. Appraised one for 1 copper coin, garbage stats across the board, stupid, cowardly, greedy, super reproduction. Except being genderless means they don't touch my kingdom of women ratio math at all. Free loophole. And their negative traits are secretly perfect for cannon fodder. Impossible to fully wipe out, immune to embarrassment, endlessly replaceable numbers. I dug through the junk bin with appraisal and time search, sorting garbage from gold. Found one with a hidden epic trait. Greedy, repurposed into loyalty instead of loot. Stacked with stupid, that's blind loyalty. Worth more to a lord than most ordinary legendary traits. A unit that fights to the death, cheaply, forever, is priceless long-term. Bought 100 sample cards, filtered down to 60 usable ones out of over 1,000 available. Apparently, nobody else on the continent wants goblins. Grabbed 100 sets of common leather armor and spears to arm them. 8 gold total. Cannon fodder deserves at least a little dignity. Eyed a bigger storage ring next. Balked hard at the standard 100 gold price. Then spotted a suspiciously discounted 10-unit ring for 80 gold, near its expiration date. Bought it anyway, on a hunch, ignoring the clerk's stern no returns warning. Grabbed 2 gold worth of food. Walked out with less than 1 gold left to my name. Broke again, somehow, on purpose, and completely fine with it. Behind me, the attendant reported straight to her actual boss, some silent, chubby figure tapping the table with thick fingers, murmuring my name like he was filing me somewhere important. Zhou Feng, huh? Great. Love being noticed by mysterious rich people. Adding it to the pile. Rented the best room at the Adventurers Guild, 50 copper. Summoned my new assassin, the troop version of Lin Wei. Set her on guard duty. Then tested my hunch on that discounted ring. Appraisal confirmed it. 30% durability, 3 months of safe use left. Basically, a ticking clock disguised as inventory space. But my fate guidance handed me an energy map. Turns out my untrained seal card skill could manually feed the ring space energy, repair it directly. 2 exhausting hours later, mental energy scraped completely dry. I pushed it back up to 80% durability. Broken junk turned into treasure, just from knowing something nobody else knows how to do. Roughly on par with the Noble Kids gear now, for a fraction of the price. 8. Washed up. Collapsed. Used my new assassin as a body pillow. 0 guilt. Death Soldier units exist specifically to stay close to their master at all times. Jealousy doesn't enter into it. Freshly dropped cards come with maxed loyalty and compatibility too, like factory new equipment. Exactly why my goblin's hidden blind loyalty trait stayed locked and safe in card form until I got to it first. Somebody else would have grabbed the whole lot ages ago otherwise. Next morning, system time woke me. Dressed, packed, walked straight to the teleport point, right on schedule, exactly like my own head told me to. Ask me what a broke nobody walks into next. Fake Face, a legendary assassin named after his crush, a golden eye tracking his every move, his own golden finger already promised him a conspiracy at dawn, and a paradise waiting at the end of it. So there I was, principal of a doomsday high school, 20 minutes into the job and already scanning teenage girls like a loot goblin. Don't judge me, the system made me do it. Mostly. First target, Teacher Sasaki's co-worker, some mature woman with a tsundere glasses push that should be registered as a weapon. Appraisal says charisma 9. 9. That's basically max stat for a mortal. Somewhere, a celebrity is crying, "Principal!" 2 teachers patrolling the gate. I remember these 2. They die in episode 1. Tragic. Feels bad. Anyway, thank you all for your hard work, I said, doing my best responsible adult voice. Then, because I'm a good boss, I sent one of them off to the kendo club to help my vice principal. The other one didn't make the cut. Sorry, buddy. Zombie chat awaits. My brain wasn't even in the conversation, though. A prompt was blinking in my head like a check engine light. Ding! Plot hasn't started. You cannot leave the academy. Called it. Still stings. Ding! Blood feud. No reputation loss for any action in this subworld. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. The universe just handed me a no consequences card, and somehow that felt worse than getting nothing. I walked the first-year hallway, appraised a random student. Unit type, student, common. Charisma, 7. 7. On a common unit. Everyone in this school is built like an anime protagonist's little sister. That's not fan service, that's just the base template. Then I checked infection odds. 80% latent zombie rate. My heart actually hurt. 20% survival rate on my girls, 80% the enemy team, and I still have to say thank you. My money, gone. Half of the survivors don't even have decent personalities. Rude, but noted. I transferred the keepers to Kendo Club and kept moving. Second floor. Familiar faces. Protagonists can't get infected, which is nice, except the male lead skipped class today. Also, I already tried to steal his slot in the system. Bad news. Taken. Morita Hana. Strength 7, Charisma 9. Basically a perfect gun rest. And yes, I know how that sounds. Her ahoge looked like ant antennae. Somehow still worked. Fujita Sakura. Wine-red twin tails, glasses, tsundere energy radiating off her like heat off a car hood. Spirit stat 1 point higher than mine. Genius kid, skipped 2 grades. Official evaluation calls her forever second place. Poor Sakura. Hello, principal. Smooth. Very smooth. 10 out of 10 diplomacy. I skipped the greasy background character and the arrogant one. Arrogance is a deadly sin. Look it up. Third year. Last elite collected. A girl who once talked her way into a household using nothing but raw sexiness. Respect the grind. I also found Sato Hiroki. Class scumbag teacher. Skill. Brainwashing. Final evaluation? Only elite. Born in the wrong era. In real life, this guy runs a successful bar. In this anime, he's getting liquidated. Then I felt a chill. Someone in the hallway didn't belong here. Round shape. Familiar face. Too familiar. Give me data on him, quietly. Character, Kimura Daichi. Divinity, Lord of Souls. Skill, Hypnosis. There it is. The actual final boss, casually walking the halls like he owns the place. His data panel wasn't zombie red, wasn't ally white either. Gray. Bandit gray. Traitor gray. I could not win this fight. My assassin couldn't win this fight. Demigods come with divine armor plating. No cheat code gets through that without the right curse skill. So I did the smart thing. I turned around and walked away like a man who definitely did not just see a god. Stairs. New problem. A second truant, grinning like he already knew how the story ends. Character, Suzuki Haru. Race, zombie. Class, apprentice necromancer. Equipment, mutated rose rotifer, curio grade. You're the little mouse that wandered onto the battlefield, he said. Cool nickname, very flattering. I panicked on purpose, let him enjoy it, then switched to principal voice. I don't know what you're talking about, classmate. Return to class. He laughed. Decided I was funny enough to keep alive as a future zombie guard. What a guy. Then his expression sharpened, and I understood. He wanted me dead, right now, rules or no rules. So I gambled. There's a third person in this school. His whole face changed. I showed him my clean reputation as proof I wasn't bluffing, then handed over everything I had on Kimura Daichi. Watch the smugness drain out of a zombie's face in real time. 10 out of 10 content. He really snuck in? Sweat on an undead. Impressive. I tested him one more time, took a slow step toward the stairs like I was retreating on instinct. He clocked it instantly. But here's the thing about greed. He had 500 zombies at the gate and thousands more in reserve, and one demigod trespassing on his turf. Little old me wasn't worth chasing when there was a bigger fish to fry, and also, apparently, to keep for himself. You really are my lucky star, he muttered, and got a very bad, very ambitious idea. I got out of his sightline and finally exhaled. 800 zombies against 50 of us. I nearly became a background extra in my own recap. My side hadn't even finished bonding as a unit yet, and morale takes time nobody had. I ran, not walked, back to Lin Wei at the Kendo Club entrance. Wei! Welcome back! I dumped the intel on her. Her reaction was not the calm goddess energy I expected. Are you sure his talent is Lord of Souls? She nearly screamed. I've seen her get assassinated with less panic than this. What's wrong? The problem is huge. She explained, slowly, like talking to a golden retriever. Do you know what demigods need most? Faith? No. Souls. Every war, every conquest, every grudge between our kind, it's all about souls in the end. A Lord of Souls talent is royalty among royalty. Once one awakens, top factions fight to cultivate them. Understood. We just got dragged into a game several tiers above our pay grade, and the traitor had already teamed up with the Death faction. There's a traitor among the human race. Cool. Can we not play this game? Ding. Rule violated. Zombie aggression decreasing. Ding. Rule violated again. Aggression decreasing further. Plot triggered early. A white light split the sky. 2 suns hung overhead, like a bad special effect. EMP attack? Someone yelled. Fujita, explain it, I said, because a teammate's voice always lands better than mine. All right, Principal. She pushed her glasses up and gave the textbook rundown, calm as a weather forecast. Everyone here grew up on nuclear paranoia. Nobody panicked pretty, but nobody panicked loud either. They're coming, Lin Wei said. I looked out and saw the swaying crowd in the distance. Showtime. Listen up. Enemy released a zombie virus. We're entering doomsday, effective now. Ayame, Hana, with me on the line. Sakura, watch for gaps. Hayashi, get medical ready. Everyone else, follow the vice principal. Lin Wei handed out a spear and a sword like party favors. I grabbed my own sword and shield and planted myself at the doorway. If a zombie grabs your weapon, let go. Their grip strength is not a joke. Also, don't get bitten. The virus doesn't care about your GPA. Shield bash. 1 zombie flying. Ayame, hold the line. Don't chase. We were rookies fighting our first real battle, and it showed. Weight disadvantage, panic, close calls stacking up. If I hadn't held the doorway and Lin Wei hadn't been quietly sniping from the back, we'd have lost people. She offered to release her elf archers. I said no. She's my nuke. I'm not wasting the nuke on 500 zombies with no reinforcements in sight. Slowly, we adapted. The heroine's combat instincts flipped on like a switch because apparently main characters come factory preloaded with plot armor. The pressure eased, rotation worked, nobody died. And then the Kingdom of Women talent kicked in. Special resistance climbing with every bit of trust the team put in me, capping at 30%, at which point even a random student could shrug off a zombie bite attempt. Kanda Ayame, meanwhile, was having the time of her life in the crowd. Ha ha ha! Genuinely unsettling laugh. Genuinely excellent swordsmanship. Stats: Strength 9, Charisma 9+. Traits: Heart of Slaughter, Kendo Genius, Female Lead. She's still just a student right now, unranked, unbuffed, and already this is her floor. Note to self, never get domestically disciplined by this woman. Elite is the normal ceiling for this tier of world. She blew straight through it into excellence, twice, because her sword skill ignores the world's own rules, and because killing, in this universe, is apparently the most efficient path to a full soul. Efficient, terrifying, occasionally adorable. System even dropped a special notification with bold text and sparkle effects about untying her heart knot. Even my own luck stat is thirsty for this woman. Mom, a little help over here would be nice. Meanwhile, my actual escape plan had already failed. The enemy predicted the predictable. I hadn't even cleared the front gate. Across the map, the teaching building was a completely different kind of bloodbath. Suzuki Haru had rerouted a literal army, 500 to guard the front gate, 500 more straight at me, the rest slamming into the teaching building where Kimura Daichi was busy turning ordinary students into hypnotized super soldiers. As gods, devotion is your mandatory duty, Kimura announced, laying down iron law like a landlord raising rent. Shido kissed his boots. Actual boot kissing. You are the greatest god. Get up, my future archbishop. Gag. But also, somehow, working. Floor by floor, it turned into trench warfare. Kimura's hypnotized veterans fought like machines, no fear, perfect coordination. Suzuki's zombies fought like, well, zombies. Mindless, endless, patient. Neither side blinked first. An hour in, my side finished up. 80-something kills for me personally, Knight level 2, Druid level 2, legs shaking like jelly. Mortal stamina is a scam. Rest, I'll scout ahead, Linwei said, and vanished into the greenery, because apparently the safest person to send scouting is the one with a literal forest goddess buff. I patrolled the aftermath instead. Post-battle is when morale actually breaks, not during. 3 dislocations, 2 fractures, 1 crying girl with a broken leg looking at me like an abandoned puppy. I crouched, wrapped her leg properly, told her the principal doesn't abandon anyone. She believed me. Credibility rating? Still undefeated. Hayashi Akari took over medical duty, still calling me Yu-Yu-chan, still refusing to call me principal. Age 29, charisma 10, cap stat, and the personality of a golden retriever who forgot where the ball went. 108, very good, didn't shrink, I muttered, checking a stat. Ding, fine wine, tastes better aged. I know you're impatient, but please don't. You're a good person. Oh, well, fine then, insulted, by my own system, for a crime I hadn't even committed yet. Mom, since you're so free, maybe give your son a way to survive this apocalypse instead of roasting him. Ding. According to the world fairness law, no. Rude. Efficient. Accurate. Lin Wei came back from scouting, worry on her face melting the second she confirmed I wasn't hurt. 200 people held off 4,000 to 5,000 zombies, she reported. I nearly fell over. That's the gold content of a Lord of Souls talent. Terrifying. Then why sneak over here to fight at all? Why not stay home undefeated? Faith. The Lord of Souls talent can't generate faith on its own. For a demigod, faith-converted divine power is the entire foundation of their strength. And there it was. Shido's hypnosis, feeding an entire hostage congregation straight into Kimura's tank. An already busted skill combo just went nuclear. We can only wait, I said eventually. Breaking for the gate now meant getting caught in a pincer with 500 zombies camped on the exit. My rookies would shatter. You're only in this mess because of me, Linwei started. In our relationship, do we need to keep score? Rest, conserve energy. She teared up a little, then patted my shoulder, smile back on. Go on, your mission's arrived. Do I really have to? Nonsense. If you don't go, should I? Can you bear to waste her potential? Reader, I did have to go. Comfort Morita Hana, whose boyfriend zombie was somewhere in that building right now. Marriage tip. Nothing says trust like your fiancé personally pushing you toward another crying woman. Meanwhile, across the hallway showers, Kanda Ayame stood under cold water, hands still trembling from the joy she'd felt slaughtering zombies 20 minutes ago. Traditional virtues at war with her own instincts. She dropped her sword, trying to pick it back up. I caught it before it hit the floor. Look around you, I told her. Nobody's afraid. You protected them. Sometimes people just need someone else to say the thing they can't say to themselves. I walked off. She stood there a while longer, watching everyone smile at her like she hadn't just gone full berserker. Idiot Zhou Feng, don't you know a woman needs a hug right now? Came the shout, from Ayame, directed at my back. I got back to Lin Wei and immediately got yelled at. You big idiot! What woman tolerates her man hugging someone else in front of her? Who am I supposed to complain to about this? I'll let you hug me if I want to. Okay. Before I finished the sentence, she was already attached to me like a limpet. This girl is generous in ways I keep underestimating. Kanda Ayame heard the whole exchange and burst out laughing, apparently rivaling Lin Wei herself in the zero jealousy department. Even Hana and Sakura looked a little envious. Akari just wanted a hug of her own, obviously. A world with 0 yandere blades pointed at me. Genuinely rare. Genuinely appreciated. Meanwhile, across the building, smiles don't disappear. They just relocate. Right now, the universe transferred all the misery onto Suzuki Haru because the war of attrition had quietly started tilting against him. His zombie army was more than half gone, and the enemy line still hadn't cracked. Then, Kimura Daichi tapped his stored divine power reserve, and suddenly, the math got worse. Human veterans kept fighting like clockwork, even after losses. Precision, coordination, 0 morale drop. The defense line simply refused to break, which meant Suzuki just sat back watching, sending only cohorts, while Kimura lounged upstairs, sipping red wine like he was on vacation. Shido, remember, we are noble sovereigns. Our actions must match our status, Kimura lectured between sips. Yes, my lord, you are right to reprimand me. Then the enemy's trump card broke through. An elite zombie, once known as Kato Renjiro, Hana's current boyfriend, still fighting with muscle memory, even as a corpse. Twisted fate. Not my sense of humor, for the record. I never wanted the guy. I just also never wanted him dead this specifically. Kimura answered with his own reserve, Watanabe Kaito, another sacrificed friend turned hypnotized soldier. The line stabilized again. Shido looked like he just watched his god perform a miracle. Then, on the other staircase, a surprise. Kudo Kana, elite zombie now, climbed the railing exactly like she used to when she was alive and famous for kicking people downstairs. Same move. New victims. Zombies broke through to the third floor off pure brute force. Ha ha ha! Kage, Suzuki's true form starting to show through the cracked human mask, laughed at the breakthrough. God-slaying getting closer. He stayed cautious anyway. Caution is a virtue. Also, he's a coward, but let's call it strategy. Back on Kimura's side, things soured fast. Losing 50 units at once broke the rotation cycle that had kept everyone's stamina safe. Real casualties started. Kage watched from a distance, practically vibrating with joy, patient as a cat at a mouse hole. Another 50 fell, then another. No rush, the advantage is mine, Kage told himself over and over, resisting the urge to gloat too early. Eventually, Kimura accepted the loss gracefully, a fake humble villain monologue and all. Not bad, ants. This god acknowledges you. We shall play again. Shido offered to sacrifice himself, opening an escape path. Kimura declined, delivered one last line about gods having endless methods, and vanished in a wall of light. If I'd been watching, I'd have given that exit a perfect score for style. What Kimura missed, right before vanishing, Shido quietly exhaled in relief, because he'd gambled correctly. Useful pawns don't get discarded. Cynical, but accurate. Kage kept his zombies grinding down the last human holdouts, patient, cautious, hiding well back from any actual fighting. When the last defender fell, he finally relaxed. He hadn't secured the kill on either demigod, but he'd survived facing both. His confidence swelled. 7 days until the world ascension unlocks fully, 100,000 zombies waiting in reserve. What's there to fear? Ha ha! Who else is there? Kage shouted at the sky, arms wide, full villain pose, zero audience. Then someone provided one. Fire! Arrows out of the greenery. Kage, an undead with death vision, should have seen any living thing coming a mile off. He didn't, because the shooter had been using plant life force as cover the whole time. An emerald arrow tore through his cover zombie and clipped his arm. Life energy versus death energy, mutual poison. He tore the ruined limb off himself before it spread. Cautious to the last. What a pity, Lin Wei sighed below, having missed the kill shot. She reloaded and kept commanding her archers, using the noise as bait, trying to break the defensive ring around Kage before time ran out. Down at the gate, I'd been waiting to slip through during the chaos. Trusting Lin Wei's judgment, I held the team steady until her opening arrow flew, then charged the second the fighting started. How is it? I asked her. She shook her head. Didn't work, but we push now, while the gap's smallest, or we get no chance later. I'll lead the charge. You run overall command. Ayame, Hana, protect you. Understood, Vice Principal. Sakura took over deputy command, watching for gaps, actually thriving in the role the anime never let her have. We pushed, floor by floor. Sasaki peeled off to hold the second floor corridor with a small squad. We kept climbing, brute force covering for our rough coordination. It's no good. We're out of time. Retreat, Sakura warned, spotting reinforcements at the corner. I wasn't ready to quit. One more push? All right, Lin Wei agreed, teeth gritted. Great sword out, pure offense, no defense left in the plan. 2 minutes, Sakura called, counting down the incoming wave. It'll be done soon. 1 foot on the third floor. The enemy's face, for one glorious second, looked terrified. Then it flipped. No, it is I who have succeeded, Kage grinned, and pulled his real reserve troops out of the surrounding classrooms. A trap, built for exactly this moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lured the goddess Lin Wei in, he gloated. 2 demigods almost bagged in 1 day, plus a wonder-class item nobody had told him about. Jackpot. 1 minute left, Sakura's voice cracked slightly, still calling the numbers like a good soldier. We have to go. We can't clear them in a minute. I didn't answer, just counted down under my breath. 10. 9. Give me 10 seconds. 7. All right, Lin Wei said, trusting me the same way I'd trusted her minutes earlier. That's a marriage right there. She pushed her firing rate to the max, buying seconds. Getting desperate, aren't you? Kage laughed, thinking he'd already won. 3, 2, 1. I looked up, matched his grin exactly, and raised my hand in the shape of a gun. He flinched, then remembered my panel. Mere elite, no attack skills, divine power maxed out for the day. He glared back, refusing to blink first. I didn't need an attack. I had backup. Lin Wei! Calling me for what? My divine powers already, huh? A scream cut her off. A shadow rose behind Kage. A blade severed his spine before he even registered the shape. A few more clean strokes, and the head came off. Clean, efficient, anticlimactic in the best way. An enemy that had bullied 2 demigods into a corner, gone in 3 seconds flat. The assassin grabbed a rope off the outer wall and climbed to the roof like she was late for lunch. Phew, I breathed, blowing on my fingergun hand like it had actually fired something. How was that? Cool, right? I put a hand on my hip, very pleased with myself. Arrogance invites retribution, and mine arrived instantly, in the form of a hand chop to the skull from Lin Wei. Cool your head! Zombies are still swarming. Clear the line first. Oh. I held the front line, chastised, alive, and honestly kind of proud of myself anyway. A rope dropped moments later, and my assassin swung down, casual as anything. In other words, her name is Lin Wei, I said, once I finally got a look at the character card. Yes, I named my legendary assassin after my own wife, Sumi. It happened months ago, and I have 0 regrets. Turns out she'd dropped from a faceless 1 kill, 1 in an astronomically low chance, 1 card per roughly 10 zombies otherwise. My luck stat carrying the whole operation, as usual. Lin Wei, wife version, was furious I hadn't told her. So someone got struck by beauty and wanted to play hero, saving the beauty, she said, piecing it together in about 4 seconds flat. This, haha! Being married to a genius has its downsides. Namely, lying to her is impossible. Around us, the surrounding girls, elite or not, had all quietly tuned into the gossip. NPC or human, everyone loves drama. Without a commander, the remaining zombies scattered into confused wandering. Rule violations 3 times over had tanked their aggression completely. We let the students clean up the stragglers as live training, easy work, until Morita Hana's boyfriend zombie showed up. Last one standing, hidden this whole time to protect him. I'll leave it to you, I said. Cruel, but necessary. A quest disguised as closure. She walked forward alone, spear ready. He lunged at her like prey, fangs bared, nothing human left in the motion. That helped somehow. What she killed wasn't him anymore, just a monster wearing his face. She came back, dragging her spear, hollow-eyed. Zhou Feng, you idiot! Lin Wei snapped, finding no assassin to hand the comforting job to. Don't you know this is the easiest time to raise affection? She hugged Hana anyway, motherly instinct overriding annoyance. Goddess, wah! Hana cried it all out. Lin Wei gained a devout believer in the process and immediately realized this was the exact same trick as before. I was outsourcing my girlfriend comforting duties to my wife again. Little Liu, you're done for, she warned telepathically. Heh, I said, hands in pockets, not remotely scared. Scene settlement time. System, scene settlement. Ding. Congratulations on completing an incredible comeback. Stratagem list, deceiving the heavens, borrowing a knife, awaiting the exhausted, looting a burning house, feint east, attack west. You have obtained partial information on the strategist trait. Partial, always partial. The good stuff still locked, apparently. Ding! 1 attribute point, agility +1. Simple gift, huge value. Everyone present got the same bonus, which meant 50-some points handed out at once. At roughly 200 gold a point on the open market, that's a small fortune given away like Halloween candy. Kanda Ayame got spirit. Morita Hana's stats climbed just enough to stay relevant. Lin Wei's charisma nudged from Class Beauty 6 to School Beauty 7, which slightly dented her whole plain and unremarkable cover story, though her concealment runs on rules, not looks, so no real damage done. Everyone else got points shoved into their weakest stat. Deliberate. Definitely deliberate. Ding! 1 skill advancement point. What do you suggest? I asked my resident expert. Advance basic sword and shield, basic spear, and basic greatsword into basic weapon master. Your dual-class build has heavy weapon restrictions. This fixes it, and it never goes obsolete. Good advice. Took it instantly. She took a life skill upgrade for herself instead of more combat power. Arrow bamboo cultivation. Long-term territory planning over short-term murder efficiency. Selfless. Slightly annoying in the way that good people are annoying when you can't argue with them. Ding! You have obtained the wonder, mutated rose rotifer. Small, white, silkworm-shaped, weirdly cute. The exact item that had started this entire 10-death gauntlet. Did we drop the opponent's wonder? I asked. Seems so, Lin Wei said, equally stunned. Soul binding an item locks it permanently, so someone had to claim it, and it had to be someone who could hide their power level. That meant me. Lin Wei raised her fist. I signed up immediately. Ding! Wonderbound. 2 functions: decompose corpses and store their genetic code, and horizontally transfer that code into another creature. Translation: I now hold species revival tech. Extinct means nothing anymore, as long as I've got a sample, and I'm still breathing. The zombie virus itself was basically a side effect of this thing's real purpose, which is curing incurable disease. Somewhere, a research team just lost their whole life's work to my inventory slot. Ding! Hero talent card obtained. Fine, you're the favorite son, Lin Wei muttered, out of complaints at this point. I'd stripped their hero completely bare. Ding! Permanent outfit, school uniform, building card, Tengmei Academy, unlocks university tech. Knight heritage acquired. Temporary item, Fujimi City household registration. The uniform boosts sustained combat 20% through transformation runes. Unlike normal gear, it actually breathes. The household registration doubled as a live map and NPC tracker. 10 Knight class daily change slots from the heritage, since Fujimi City isn't run by a normal government anymore. It's run by me, apparently. Zombie corpse cleanup took half an hour with the wonder. Ding! Plague source eliminated. Druid experience plus 1000. Level 5. Spirit plus 1. Skills: cleaning spell, sense plants, sense time. Good deeds pay dividends. Who knew? Lin Wei, meanwhile, converted everyone's leather armor into uniforms and looted the school clean. Cafeteria food, shop snacks, infirmary supplies, library books, the works. Sealing everything cost 9 spatial points, split into cards. Only downside, sealed cards can't be traded. Sealed NPCs stay bound to me permanently, which killed my brief fantasy of reselling pretty students for profit. Ethically for the best, financially devastating. Before leaving, I sealed the ordinary students entirely. Too many bodies means too much exposure, and there's still an unrevealed enemy out there. Guerrilla warfare, small squad, exactly like the source material. Final roster, me and Lin Wei up top, heroines Kanda Ayame, Hayashi Akari, Fujita Sakura, Morita Hana. Elite talents Ito Nozomi, Yuki Miku, Sawai Naomi, Kimura Yumi. 10 people, tight, mobile, dangerous. We stepped through the gate onto a cherry blossom road. Beautiful. Fully restorative after a day of decapitations. Let's follow the main road. Hit the city first, I said, checking the household registration's built-in map. Target, Ubetsu Bridge. Oh! Morale spiked instantly, especially Sakura, practically vibrating with impatience. Cars didn't work, obviously, world rules again, but bicycles slipped through the loophole. Everyone's Knight Squire riding skill made the learning curve painless. Akari, canon intermediate rider, basically did tricks. Also, her uniform came out as a miniskirt instead of Ayame's knee-length version, and her figure made the whole concept of coverage purely theoretical. She didn't care. Generous trait. I cared a great deal and mostly stared at handlebars instead. Sasaki, meanwhile, fought the wind and lost, going full conservative panic trying to hold the hem down on both sides simultaneously. Physics won. Sawai Naomi rode worst of all, her loyal trait apparently costing balance points elsewhere because the universe loves a trade-off. First moral test of the road trip showed up fast. We knocked on a door. A pleasant, attractive housewife answered, thrilled to see us. "Greetings, my lord. Could you please take my husband along?" I looked past her at the man himself, head bowed, obedient posture, and immediately hated the position I was in. Save one life, break up a family, or refuse and doom her. Lin Wei's voice hit my mind through her communicate with believer skill. Do you think she survives after we leave? Abandoned, used as a shield, handed off to someone worse? Zhou Feng, if you can't decide, I will. No, I'll handle it. I checked his panel. Cowardly, greedy, lazy. All 3, stacked. Any guilt I had evaporated on the spot. Madam, I apologize, but I cannot fulfill your request. We're fighting the undead, not going on a picnic. Your husband isn't qualified. The husband, meanwhile, had been quietly scoping out the entire squad of beautiful women, licking his lips, right up until Lin Wei's ambient killing intent hit him like a truck. Wife, go ahead. You're serving the people, he said, instantly and shamelessly, and fled back inside, locking the door behind him. Madam, you've been conscripted. Obey orders. Yes. Disappointment plus the obedient trait meant no resistance. Behind that locked door, the husband wasn't sad at all. Freedom, finally. No wife watching, plenty of other women to chase in a lawless apocalypse. Real charmer. I didn't care what happened to him afterward, and I'm not going to pretend I did. I kept clearing zombies and recruiting along the way, no longer feeling guilty about picking through the survivor pool. Young matrons, daughters, mother-daughter pairs. Interesting pattern. Relatives of the sealed students, sisters, aunts, mothers, kept coming up with genuinely good character, which either means the world runs on subconscious author bias, or the author has some things to work out personally. Either way, not my problem. Lin Wei, why's everyone stuck at common potential? I asked, since modern educated survivors should theoretically beat feudal-era peasants by a mile. Normal. The world just refreshed. Elite potential needs time and reproduction to concentrate. Right now, it's all locked into named plot characters. Made sense. Time to trigger more plot, apparently. Little Yu, look what I found. Hana ran over, practically glowing. Little Hana, could you maybe call me Big Brother instead? Blah, you're not even older than me. Cue laughter from the elf peanut gallery. My age had officially been leaked to the entire squad, and my principal authority died right there on the sidewalk. What she'd found: an M37 revolver, plot weapon, 5 rounds. Plot weapons can't be removed from their scene, but they can absolutely still be used, and zombies are still carbon-based, no matter how hungry they get. I hugged Hannah, spun her around 3 times out of pure joy, put her down only once she'd gone fully red in the face, and completely missed the fact that she looked like a ripe apple doing it. Priorities. What a blockhead, Lin Wei muttered, watching, then stepped in and gave me a hug of her own that doubled as a chest-crushing bear hug. Payback for not noticing Hannah, I think. Also just an excuse. You did that on purpose. Hehe, she said, patting her chest smugly. The natural airhead saw the fun and wanted in. Yu-chan, I want one too. Don't you come over here. Too late. Impact, damage taken, dignity gone. Then Lin Wei pointed at Kanda Ayame, arms crossed, watching from the sidelines. Do you really want to? I asked. The first wife just raised her fist. Understood. Went and hugged Ayame too, who stiffened for a second before relaxing into it. Continue, came the mental order. Fujita Sakura got spun around next. Tsundere Fangs bared the whole time, protesting loudly right up until she turned into a steam-emitting kettle of embarrassment. By the end of it, the whole squad's morale had jumped, several elites had started generating actual faith power, and the cost of all that team unity was, apparently, me hugging everyone in public. Cheap price for cohesion. Lin Wei clearly knew that the whole time. We hit a gas station. A survivor lunged out of hiding, grabbed Sawai Naomi, dagger to her throat. Back off or I kill her. Throw away your weapons. Everyone complied, hating it. Then he clocked the rest of the squad, all young and pretty, and his priorities shifted mid-hostage situation, hand starting to wander. Bad move. This isn't the version of the story where a generous Suzuki Haru lets that slide. A black shadow pierced his throat before his hand made it anywhere. Morita Hana, already moving, spear knocking the dagger. Loose, flying kick sending him sprawling, Naomi rescued clean. He bled out in silence. Nobody asked questions. Everyone here had a modern education and zero illusions about what the apocalypse does to people. How is it? Hard to accept? Lin Wei asked Hannah gently. No, I'm just shocked how fast people can rot, Sasaki answered instead, wry, experienced. Lin Wei was quietly proud. Hannah's hesitation, then her decisive follow-through, proved she wasn't broken and wasn't naive either. Exactly the profile of a real warrior, not a hesitating protagonist who gets people killed, dithering. Naomi finally broke down in Lin Wei's arms, grief from her dead boyfriend and this fresh horror hitting all at once. Ding! New devout believer gained. Faith increased. Lin Wei froze. Realized. Identical setup to Hannah's incident. I'd done it again, hiding behind the crowd while she absorbed the emotional labor. Little Liu, you're done for, she promised. I stood at the back, hands in pockets, entirely unrepentant, and got my ear pulled off for it approximately 30 seconds later. Worth it. Naomi and Hana bonded fast after that, fellow widow energy, though Hana processed faster, being the more battle-hardened type. At Obetsu Bridge, Lin Wei's ears twitched. Something's up. She scouted ahead, found humans besieged by 600 or 700 zombies, no commander directing them, which was strange, until we realized. Gunfire triggers aggro. The local police chief had fired his weapon, and every zombie in range had swarmed like they'd heard a dinner bell. Cunning villains. We cleared the horde in under half an hour, our training finally paying real dividends. Thank you for the rescue, sir, said the young officer, unnamed, forgettable, alive. Then a voice, dripping with charm, cut in. Young brother, may I ask if I can set off with you all? Yoshida Miki, age 38, charisma 10, figure that would make a figurine sculptor quit the industry. Merchant, planning trait, absurdly voluptuous, weak combat stats, but sharp mind. Her daughter Haruka trailed behind her, equally striking, social and linguistic skills stacked. Somewhere out there is apparently a third sister who's even worse. 3 generations of blonde chaos. Nothing much, it's safer following you, Mickey said bluntly. Managing an all-female team well means you've got management skill, and if the credit's his, that proves he's got charisma. Aha! Am I really that good? I said, scratching my head. Don't speak, Linwei snapped, annoyed her carefully built leverage kept getting undercut by my own ego. Then welcome to the team, she said anyway, extending a hand first, a rare gesture from her. More survivors trickled in after that. A red-haired reporter, sensitive to hot topics. A tutor mother in a trench coat that Zhou Feng definitely did not stare at. A young mother nursing the youngest child seen so far in this apocalypse, notable because kids are basically extinct in this world. Even a delinquent girl tagged only as lacking love, recruited on the theory that broken can still be fixed. At the bridge, Linwei stepped forward and got hit with a prompt. Entrance blocked. Unblocks 8 a.m. tomorrow. Even the map follows Canon's schedule, apparently. No shortcuts. We clear the rest of the scene then, I said. And we did, picking up strays. Yoshida Miki struggled adjusting to real combat, pampered life catching up fast, until Linwei handed her a bandage to bind her chest for mobility. Small fix, big difference. Along the villa district, a puppy crawled out of a gate gap. Natural Airhead scooped it up immediately, ecstatic. Elite-level dog, naturally. Not entirely a coincidence, I said, remembering the name. If the dog's here, its owner should be too. I vaulted the courtyard wall. Inside, a body, and a small girl with dull, lifeless eyes sitting beside it, unresponsive. I covered the corpse, placed a fresh flower on the cloth, and set the girl down gently. Clara, say goodbye to your father. Daddy! She snapped back to life instantly, screaming, sobbing, throwing herself at me. Crying meant she wasn't gone, just broken, not shattered. Same fate as Canon, different killer, humanity's cruelty swapped for zombie teeth, same ending regardless. I used the wonder on the father's corpse out of habit. Ding! Excellent grade zombie eliminated. Permanent outfit obtained, professional suit. Excellent grade, from a random dad. Kanda Ayame only just cracked excellent with a whole fandom's worth of devotion behind her. Then it clicked. NPC potential runs on belief, not history. A man who dies protecting his daughter reads as powerful to anyone watching, including the world itself. Fatherly love as a mountain, plus responsibility, equals stat inflation. Even I have to respect that. Clara's own panel confused me, though. 18 years old, listed, despite clearly being a child physically. It's nothing, just an error refresh, Linwei explained, stroking the sleeping girl's hair. Attribute panels awaken at adulthood, but plot protagonists can cause conflicts. The world spawns the 18-year-old future version to resolve it. She's legally an adult, just doesn't have the lowly trait locking her height, so she'll still grow. Anything special about that? If your body reverted to childhood and you got a second run at everything, what could you accomplish? Infinite possibilities, I said instantly, then realized what I just admitted about Clara's ceiling. Worthy of the name, honestly. I know exactly which raising a daughter plotline this is riffing on. We cleared the rest of the district. Gains were modest compared to the school, fewer zombies around to farm. But my night class hit level 3 anyway, and Druid hit 6 off decomposition rewards. Over 60 new recruits, though only Clara, Mickey, and Haruka carried elite potential. The rest got sealed as usual, squad streamlined back to stealth-ready size. My friend's house is nearby, Akari said, a little too excited. I really want a hot bath, she admitted immediately after, blowing her own cover. We reached it. No power. She flipped the breaker on pure instinct before even registering there might be a problem, which, somehow, there wasn't. It's normal, Linwei explained. As long as there's protective infrastructure, the enemy doesn't care. Doesn't affect the battle, so the rules leave it alone. Given whose house this apparently was, hiding working utilities tracked completely. Before going in, I had an idea. System, seal the building in front of me. Even the system paused on that one. Dead silence, then a cost quote. 50 spatial points, plus every remaining seal charge for the scene. I had 90 to spare. Confirmed instantly. Ding! Travel spell obtained. Void Mansion. The entire 2-story house dissolved like a soap bubble. Linwei didn't even have the energy to complain anymore. Building materials were something I apparently already had access to via spatial authority. I just hadn't known to ask. The system builds what you're bold enough to request. Akari nearly had a meltdown watching her friend's house vanish, until I redeployed a slightly upgraded replica, complete with an unexplained new pool she didn't question for 1 second. I want a hot bath, she said again, dragging everyone toward the bathroom, priorities restored. I asked Linwei if the Void Mansion could just let us hide until the world fully descends. No, it runs on ley line energy, and you're the one holding land authority. If we don't fight for territory, the enemy claims it outright and squeezes us out eventually. No hiding forever. Disappointing, but fair. We stepped inside as night fell, the whole villa rippling and vanishing into the void behind us. Inside, the squad settled in fast. Hot water, snacks, banter, gun cleaning. We found the house's hidden weapons cache exactly where Cannon said it would be. An M1A rifle, an AR-110 semi-auto sniper, an M37 shotgun, all intact, plus Lin Wei's real prize, a C5 crossbow, excellent grade, armor-piercing, uncursed, and fully usable, unlike the plot-locked pistol. Long, medium, short range covered. Limited ammo, sure, but decapitation strikes don't need volume. From that point on, the squad had a real trump card in reserve. Dinner that night was warm, loud, and full of teasing at my expense, the exact kind of chaos a good team needs after a day like that one. Kanda Ayame cooked. Everyone else pretended not to notice the aprons and lounge outfits doing absolutely nothing to lower the room temperature. I excused myself early, blaming an internal immune battle against the zombie virus I was quietly synthesizing a vaccine from. Definitely not blushing. Definitely a medical emergency. By the time I woke up, hours later, the house had gone quiet, half the squad already asleep, and Lin Wei was waiting with the kind of serious expression that meant paperwork, not romance. Family structure, rules, a name. I like lotus flowers, she said, and the system offered options. We landed on Yuhuan family, her choice, my name folded into it, Jade and White both pointing back to her. Ding! Lin Wei has applied to join the family. She'd left her original house entirely behind to join mine, donated a small fortune's worth of rare seeds and blueprints without blinking, then talked me through inheritance categories until we settled on strengthen bloodline, an investment in whatever kids this apocalypse eventually gives us. I made her the family's treasurer anyway, dowry account and all, because trust goes both directions in a marriage, even the world-ending kind. Outside, the Void Mansion held steady against a sky that hadn't finished falling yet. 7 days until Ascension. 100,000 zombies waiting on the other side of a door we still had to hold. Guerrilla war, one bridge at a time. Ask me again next scene. So we made it official, paperwork and everything. Lin Wei and I signed what the system calls a fate contract. Read the fine print. It is a marriage license, a family charter, and an HR manual, all stapled into one glowing document. We founded the Yuhuan family. Sounds fancy. It is basically a startup with feelings. Lin Wei brought the assets, all of them. Legally, that makes her the boss. I am just the acting head. A man living off his wife's portfolio on the strength of his own 2 hands. Zero shame, none. I checked. Everyone else earns contribution points. Fair and just. More work, more pay. No mandatory hours, because when everybody's grinding for their own future, nobody needs a whip cracked over them. A retired corporate exec in our group read the entire rulebook, line by line, went pale. Not from fear, from recognition. She'd seen a system that simply does not break. That's the actual weapon here, not the wedding gowns everyone keeps fixating on. The org chart. There's also a death servant tier for anyone who wants full lifetime loyalty. Sounds intense. Then you remember everyone signing up already lives for me and would die for me on a random Tuesday. No reason needed. Lin Wei slotted right in. To live for him, to die for him. Nothing else matters, she said. Meant every word of it. I did not even flinch. I have learned to accept the terrifying devotion and just move on with my day. The peripheral members get a dowry allowance too, companionship stipend, future maternity benefits. Nobody's forced into proximity. It's compensation. For everyone's youth, technically, in a genre where everyone's youth got eaten by zombies. The system does not do subtlety. Now, the conquest missions. I'll spare you the details, mostly because the system spared me. Every single time things drifted somewhere spicy, it pinged me a note. Something like, she's a good person, and so are you, so behave. Worst chaperone in the multiverse. Absolutely relentless. And Lin Wei, my head wife, was the one steering everyone else toward me. Not jealous, magnanimous. She decided on day one this was the destination, and she'd rather drive than sulk in the back seat. What actually matters, mechanically, these were never seductions. They were people finally getting a home where nobody gets abandoned. That's the unlock condition for their sealed potential, not romance. Stability. The family hit 7 members, morale spiked, and I got the last laugh on my own panel, because overnight, my charisma hit the world's hard ceiling. Ding! Turns out, Conqueror of a Goddess is a literal stat buff. Who knew? Add finishing my coming of age as a man now responsible for a whole squad. Apparently that forges the spirit, like a blacksmith forges a sword. Add the green lotus seed finishing its digestion early, thanks to a goddess's leftover life energy. Add clothes. Lin Wei dressed me up, and suddenly the handsome slum kid read as a gentle young lord. Dangerous commandora included. Women could not stop staring. I noticed. I enjoyed it. Sue me. Oh, and I quietly handed the whole family the zombie vaccine. I'd synthesized the antibody in my own body, and I found a discreet route to share it. Am I an honest man? The system keeps insisting I am. I keep finding loopholes. Both things are somehow true. The top charisma club now has 4 members maxed out. Lin Wei, obviously, goddess tier, no notes. Akari, because natural airhead plus that figure is an unbeatable combo. Auntie Mickey, because the word best just says it all. And Haruka, tied for a bonus reason. She's linked to her mother in the ranking. Because who here does not love a mother-daughter combo pack? Nobody. Don't lie. Then there's Ito Nozomi, our married teacher, who broke 9 points this morning. Time retrieval only spat out 3 keywords for why. Mature royal sister, married woman, teacher. It fits so hard it's basically a cheat code. She's 1 point short of the ceiling because she still lacks the aura of being the one and only. Fixable, just needs strength. Which gave me the actual formula for pushing everyone else's charisma. Lin Wei will finish naturally, system rewards do the rest. Yuki Miku should keep leaning fiery and passionate, more confidence, more strength. Done. Naomi's problem is pure hardware, low combat stats, easily solved with money in this economy. Yumi just needs to stay cute and stop getting sabotaged by her best friend hogging screen time. Breakfast the next morning was a war crime scene of tension. Everyone glaring, everyone smug, everyone pretending not to notice everyone else pretending. Lin Wei touched her stomach and said nothing. I said nothing either. We are professionals. Yoshida Miki tried to click become an official member. Ding! You still have attachments in your heart, not suitable at the moment. Yumi, her daughter. Some walls don't come down just because the world ended. Then we headed out for the day, and my new charisma stat immediately started paying rent. Akari and Haruka latched onto my arms before we'd cleared the front gate. Ayame just crossed her arms and watched, amused, like she was front row at a comedy special. Hana stopped. Sakura just curled her lip and swore revenge. Next time, faster. Genuinely feels like everyone auditioned for the same anime and got cast as themselves. We stepped into the next scene. Wealthy residential district. I want to file a formal complaint with the universe because it was wall-to-wall married women. Elite talent, one after another. A kendo club matron with a blade skill buried under the domestic stats. A gentle pink-haired mom whose hairstyle alone should be classified as a weapon. A noble housekeeper-type lady with a management skill tree a mile long. Plus the mother-daughter combo from earlier, showing up like they'd been waiting for a cue. I privately renamed this the mom scenario. I asked everyone to please not read into it. The aunties immediately started teasing me into an early grave. Older women are proactive. I am, at the end of the day, the youngest person in my own family. My principal authority died the moment Lin Wei told everyone my real age. They call me Little Yu now. There is no dignity left. I have made peace with it. We also picked up a real asset. Clara, a little animal tamer, and her dog, Zeke. His nose sniffs out hidden zombies before they can ambush anyone. The way one nearly ambushed Lin Wei last world. As Clara collects more strays, the squad is slowly growing a pet-shaped early warning system. Free of charge. I used her as a distraction the second things got embarrassing. She glared. Everyone doted on the lolly instead of punishing me, working exactly as intended. But the actual reason we were in this scene belonged to Fujita Sakura. Genius girl. Twin tails. Mother-shaped hole in her heart the size of a stadium. This was her home, her estate, her family in trouble. Which meant for once we weren't looting a world, we were riding to a rescue. That changes a squad completely. Nobody schemes when it's someone's actual mom on the line. Everyone locked in, even the girl who spends every scene being tsundere and getting hand-chopped by Ayame for it. The Fujita estate was zombies on the outside, something uglier on the inside. Sakura's father was dead. The survivors he'd gathered packed into the meeting hall to pick a new leader. Mostly that meant a room of suits screaming at each other. Vegetable market at closing time energy. At the head sat Sakura's mother, Fujita Yoko, a graceful, grieving woman running a top-tier business empire. Every man in that room looked at her and saw a chair, and a body to install in it. One ambitious type basically announced himself leader and future husband. His own sister cheered him on, until he slapped her quiet for wrecking his optics in front of the room. Real charmer. Yoko, cornered, said the only thing that might buy her time. Clear the zombies outside, and I'll marry you. Nobody moved. Political animals, every one. Conscience is a tool you use on people below you, never on yourself. Not one of them would risk his own skin for the prize. They'd rather usurp a widow than fight for her. Bold strategy. Let's see how it works out for them. Then the doors opened. The young miss is back. Yoko went white, because Sakura was supposed to be out there among the zombies. She bolted to the observation deck, bracing for a massacre. Found the exact opposite. My squad was drawing the horde out in tidy batches, mowing it down, clean as a factory line. Sakura at the center, barking commands sharper than anyone had ever seen from her. Zeke herding stragglers, the girls rotating in and out without missing a beat. One of Lin Wei's arrows punched clean through 3 zombies, buried itself in the wall hard enough to make every schemer on that deck go quiet and swallow. A large caliber rifle would not have done better. The ordinary people started cheering the young miss by name. Every ambitious man on that platform felt something he thought he owned slide right out of his hands. Half an hour later, the gate was clear. Sakura hit her mother like a kangaroo, one grin healing every fear the woman had been carrying. Then, because she is who she is, she pulled back immediately. "Mother, I still have commands to give. Later." And went off assigning her own family's would-be usurpers to haul bricks. The girl who spent an entire anime as tsundere fan service is, given an actual army, a natural officer. That's the real quest here, not a hug. A moment where the kid never valued for anything but results gets to lead, gets to save people, gets to matter with her mother finally watching and proud. You don't close a wound like that with comfort. You close it by handing her a command and letting her win in front of the one person she always wanted to impress. Then the usurper tried to introduce himself to me, all sudden warmth, all fake goodwill. I answered with hardware, unslung the M37 off my shoulder, folded the barrel, chambered 2 shells, clack, clack, snapped it shut. Told him, calm as weather, "Get lost and get to work, or I'll send you to meet the zombies." Muzzle never even came up. Didn't need to. He'd just watched us clear a siege in real time. He knew truth when it cracked open in front of him. His actress sister sauntered up next. Big star, fresh makeup, certain her face was a passport. "You get lost too," I told her. She had not passed my group's character test. A pretty face that fails that test is worth less to me than a puppy. At least a puppy wags its tail. She fled, makeup melting the whole way. Then I handed the shotgun to Yoko, a deadly weapon, to a woman I'd met 90 seconds earlier. Asked her to hold the rear. I later realized what that told her. Trust she hadn't gotten, even in her own home. The kind that would have saved her from ever being cornered like this in the first place. I walked off, mortified, honestly. I had promised myself I'd charm my future mother-in-law. Instead, I waved a shotgun around her living room. But it landed better than charm ever could, because the whole squad finally understood the thing about me they'd been half guessing. My kindness isn't for everyone. It's for my people. A famous beauty walked past. I did not spare her a glance. Meanwhile, I'd kneel to patch one of my own girls skinned me without a second thought. Every ordinary worker on that estate had been bossed around forever by the same big shots. Now they watched those big shots hauling bricks under the young miss, while the new guy fought zombies out front, for free. Took them about 4 seconds to pick a side. People at the bottom do not ask for much, just to be treated like people. Do that, and you don't recruit a crowd, you convert one. Here's the part I did not know yet, and it's the shadow hanging over this whole win. Behind us, the demigod traitor Kimura had been trailing our path this entire time, hoovering up survivors and hypnotizing them into fanatics, already 400 deep. The same man who once held 4,000 zombies at bay with 200 souls, keeping my little band alive on purpose, catfish, to soak pressure off him from the zombie king he now genuinely fears. Every survivor I cleared a path for, I cleared a path for him, too. I walked out of that estate with a mother-in-law's trust, a genius officer, and an army that adored me, and a god walking calmly in my footprints, patiently waiting for me to be worth harvesting. Ask me what a fake mediocre lord does when he finally builds something worth protecting. Right as the 2 most dangerous things in this world quietly decide he's the mouse they'll eat last. Then Sakura asked where her father was. Her mother's face answered before her mouth could. Fujita Kenji was laid out cold in a makeshift mourning hall. A man who, even during the apocalypse, reached for power before he reached for his daughter. But he never let her go hungry. That's exactly why a genius girl spent her whole life breaking herself trying to earn his love anyway. Sakura collapsed on the body and wailed, cracked the whole squad open. Who in this apocalypse hasn't lost somebody? She asked me for the one mercy I could actually give. I used the rose rotifer, decomposed her father's body, storing his genes inside it. Sounds cold until you realize what it means. He isn't gone, he's kept. Call it a permanent kind of companionship, the only kind this world had left on the shelf. The hardest wound that day, though, was Ayame's. History is stubborn, apparently, even when the whole plot's been bent sideways. She cut down 2 child-sized zombies and froze, stared at her own blood-soaked hands. Ayame's killing genius wars constantly with a genuinely gentle heart. A childhood run-in with a predator left her terrified. Terrified she's just a monster who secretly enjoys this. This time, it erupted full force. So I walked over. No lecture, no hug either. I handed her the excellent grade holy sword we'd just won, Murasame, and asked her one question. When a blade kills, is it the blade's fault or the wielder's? The wielder, she said. Then let me be your wielder, I told her. Let me be your scabbard. Point that edge wherever I point it and fight for me. Will you? She went down on one knee, lifted the sword above her head with both hands. I do, she said. A woman afraid of the weapon she is does not need to be told she's not a monster. She needs someone to take responsibility for aiming her. Untie the knot, and the flower blooms all the way. Ayame hit 10 charisma that night and never looked back. Ding! Well done, said the system, which is honestly the least it could have said. We settled the estate. Sakura installed as leader, her mother quietly coaching from one step behind. 4,000 zombies cleared off the grounds. An armory of guns recovered. A stack of rewards, too, including a middle school building card that just handed my future territory an entire education tech tree. Basically for free. That last one made Lin Wei give me a look. Unlocking schools normally costs a lord enough resources to make him vomit blood for a solid year. I pickpocketed it off an entire city government. The Twin Lotus lets me bind to Fujimi and walk out with its homework. Favored son picks up another absurd bargain. I have stopped apologizing for my luck. It's not sustainable to keep feeling guilty about it. And Yoko, Sakura's mother, made the shrewdest move of the whole estate. She knelt to Lin Wei and called it her second investment. Her first was marrying a nobody named Fujita Kenji, before he'd made a name for himself. Purely on instinct. That instinct built an empire. Now, after one afternoon watching my squad operate, she read the tea leaves the exact same way. Except this time, knowing she was, in her own words, a withered flower, she recommended her daughter as the actual investment instead. Everything she'd done that day, all the quiet coaching, all the momentum building, was her constructing Sakura's value like a stock portfolio. Lin Wei looked at her and basically saw a mirror. A woman who once ignored a man's status, chose him as a husband instead of a servant, got proven right for it. Kindred spirits, the both of them. So the family formalized, oaths signed. I'll draw the curtain there. The system was still my chaperone through the whole thing. Lin Wei was still the head wife, steering it, with a generosity that would be unbelievable if it weren't so calculated. What actually matters is the mechanic hiding under the wedding gowns everyone keeps fixating on. Finishing Sakura's hidden quests did the real work. Talent unlocked, heart not cut. Family finally gained, seen at last. Pushed the genius girl into a breakthrough on both aptitude and charisma. Fixing her didn't win me a bride. It grew me a lieutenant who was going to be terrifying one day. Same as it ever is in this world. Heal the person, and the power follows right behind. Then an old friend I would cheerfully have boiled alive walked right up to our gate. Sato Hiroki, the traitor god's archbishop, sent to negotiate. Which told me everything I needed. If Kimura was willing to risk his one precious pet on a face-to-face meeting, he wasn't here to gloat. He was here to ally. Unite the weak against the strong, the oldest trick in every book. I was happy to hand him that chicken rib of a cooperation deal. A truce that keeps two bigger predators busy fighting each other is a truce a mouse signs every single time. So I took Shido's hand like a long-lost brother, fed him a hot meal, walked him straight into my meeting hall, where a room that used to scream over Yoko just went dead silent the moment I sat down. Shido, a proud modern man himself, felt his stomach drop. It had taken his own god a full round of hypnosis to command that kind of obedience. I'd earned it in a single day with a shotgun and a promise. Things, he realized, were about to get complicated. I announced 2 things to the room. First, we keep clearing zombies and hunting survivors, same rules as yesterday. Second, my wife and I are heading to the next scenario. Sato Hiroki is now vice president of the estate, in charge of everything while we're gone. Applause. Instant applause. Everyone in that room knows a planted crony when they see one. Befriending the son of a sitting Diet member is never a bad investment, apocalypse or not. I mentioned his father's title out loud, just to seal the deal. Watched the greed in the room upgrade in real time. Shido bowed almost 90 degrees seeing us off, then sat down in the head chair like a man discovering religion for the second time. First thing he did once we'd gone was start hypnotizing the room himself. From now on, my orders are the highest guidance, he told them. A red light bloomed in his eyes, then in theirs. Then he called his god to report in. Standard procedure. Prayer works like a phone line in this world. It's how Lin Wei and I whisper sweet nothings across a battlefield, incidentally. Very good. The other party is a smart person, Kimura told him. Listen to their arrangements for now. Priority is restoring my divine power. For some reason, Shido selectively forgot to mention my little anomalies in that report. Interesting. Filing that away. Oh, and Hana's revenge quest completed itself, which nobody saw coming, least of all me. In the original story, she'd have charged screaming at Shido on sight. Instead, she took one breath, let it out slow, stayed calm because she trusts me to handle it now. Because she isn't the helpless girl she used to be. The system dinged her capture progress complete on its own. I checked why. Because quests don't just finish themselves. That's not how any of this works. Revenge is just a means, it told me. Overcoming the inner demon is the goal. Do not put the cart before the horse. Fair enough. Filed that one away too. We had a whole squad. A brand new estate running itself without us. A god's archbishop bowing at our gate. And one more scene waiting behind the next door. Ask me again once we're through it. Our honeymoon with the traitor god lasted 1 day. 1. That's a speed run even by apocalypse standards. Patch notes. Truce removed. No refunds. Next morning, Linwei and I watched a whole scout team creep past the mansion. Modern gear, quiet boots, zero manners. Kimura had decided the truce was over. It stopped being useful, so it stopped existing. That's just how two apex predators do business. He'd been chewing on something since our first meeting. A nagging little itch. And elite isn't supposed to make a demigod nervous. But information can be faked. Bearing can't. My squad didn't flinch around me, didn't hesitate, didn't act like they were following some random naive kid. That's the tell. That's the whole tell. Kimura broke out in a cold sweat, running the numbers alone in a dark room. His verdict landed in 2 words. Eradicate immediately. Shido saluted like it was Christmas morning. Here's the part that's actually the darkest joke in the whole story, so buckle up. Shido runs his slice of the apocalypse like a cult leader with a marketing degree. Pure-blooded elitist. Genuinely, structurally incapable of viewing commoners as people. Watch him walk the work floor. Are you suffering? No suffering. Are you tired? Not tired. Another 8 hours? The crowd roars like he just announced free pizza. One guy's heart gives out mid-shift. Face goes gray, legs go first. Shido doesn't punish him, doesn't even blink. Instead, he coos at him, gentle as a hospice nurse. Tells him it's nothing. Tells him to chant for the glory of their god. The man perks right up, lifts something he couldn't lift an hour ago, takes 2 triumphant steps, drops dead on the spot. Shido cries a single performative tear, calls him a hero, tells the crowd to learn from his sacrifice. The crowd, somehow, gets more fanatical. Then Shido drags the body to the trash pile, like a bag of expired produce. He scrubs his own hand raw with a handkerchief afterward, disgusted, like there's filth on his skin. He touched a peasant. That's the crime. That's the kingdom Kimura's building. That's what winning looks like for these two. 100 million die together, the old slogan goes, and nobody blinks. But drop 1 shell near their own house and watch these same monsters fold in about 2 seconds flat. Sending money, sending women. Truly a magical race, and not in the good way. Filed it away, moving on, because dwelling on it just makes me want to go full John Wick early. Good news, the assassination attempt basically doesn't matter. I sleep in a pocket dimension. Void Mansion isn't just a cozy tent upgrade, it's a late-game space ability, running on an early-game clock. Absurdly, hilariously broken. Nobody snipes a man who isn't technically inside reality while he's asleep. That single fact is the load-bearing wall of my whole operation. Total safety at night. Zero paranoia. That's why this family never fractures, even while every other alliance out there is falling apart in real time. The system clawed something back, though. Of course it did. My golden finger, fate guidance, went dark, completely dead. No pings, no hints, nothing. Convenient, right up until you understand why. Point that ability at Kimura's location, and his whole overpriced conspiracy collapses by lunch. The world can't allow that, so it sealed the one skill that would have let me skip the plot entirely. Petty, effective, very on brand. Small comfort, the human mother slipped me a consolation prize on the sly. Otherwise, there's no explaining how a fresh-off-the-farm elite gets to casually run late-game space tech. Somebody's thumb is on the scale here. I'll take it and say nothing. Family kept growing that week. Hana got her full arc closed out. Finally at peace. A pair of police big sisters joined. A mother-in-law figure showed up too. I'm keeping most of that behind the curtain. You don't need the play-by-play. You need the mechanic. And the mechanic is genuinely funny. Here's the pitch. This whole world is a battlefield. Human mother versus the death faction, fighting over a resource called luck. Per the actual rules of engagement, luck can be borrowed between allies. A trait in this framework works like a factory that's already built. Blessing someone from zero is atomically expensive. Running a factory that already exists is cheap, almost free. I own a factory. I'm just too weak to switch it on myself yet. So the world quietly loans my people luck, keeps its own side propped up. That's the actual, mechanical, in-universe reason my hug cures anxiety. One of my girls got scared. I hugged her, and her fear genuinely dropped. Not comfort, not vibes, a stat buff. I was, functionally, an ATM for luck. Word travels fast in a house full of women. By morning, I'd been hugged by roughly the entire household. Under the strict, sworn, totally not suspicious pretext of borrowing luck. Ayame explained the whole mechanic before I'd even worked it out myself. I asked how she knew. I just felt it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. You can't argue with a woman who runs on pure vibes and somehow still wins every argument. Kurashiki Haruka tried the same move an hour later, hug and all, muttering something about big sister rights. I nearly passed out. Aunt Ayumi lined up next, quiet and patient, silently owed a hug for weeks of unpaid emotional labor. Then it was Akane, then Megumi, then Miki, an entire receiving line of women collecting luck like it was payday. I have never been more thoroughly, cheerfully mugged in my life. New map loaded. The Fujimi Bay Islands, guarding the top corner like two legs mid-kick. The very first thing this zone did was try to put a bullet through my skull. Top Predator Dread, out of nowhere. The panel choked out a warning, half static. Ding! There is a snipper. Signal interference. Cool feature. Love that for the tutorial. I got half a shout-out before the dread just evaporated. Lin Wei's right eye flared green, that little divine tell, and she said one flat sentence. No need, it's safe. She'd made the shooter. Yamada Emi. SAT sniper, squad leader, elite grade. The highest raw combat stats I'd seen on an actual non-anime human. And thoroughly, completely done with the men running her government into the ground. Here's what Fujimi's leadership had been doing this whole apocalypse. Infighting. Every single stop on this map taught the exact same lesson. Traitors at Tengmei. A forced takeover at the Fujita estate. Somebody sowing discord at the mall. A clean coup already finished at Rin's old post. Humanity's only consistent lesson from history is that it refuses to learn any lessons. The Fujimi government proved the rule holds even at the actual end of the world. Emi owns a literal weapon of mass destruction and still got iced out for the crime of being a woman with opinions. So she grabbed a lookout post nobody wanted, alone, mostly just to escape the meeting room, which makes her exactly the replacement piece we needed after our last faction sold us out. She went full fangirl the second she clocked Lin Wei's shooting. In Emi's rulebook, you earn respect by outgunning her. Nobody outguns Lin Wei. Nobody. Case closed, sniper recruited, no further negotiation required. Their capital sits on Shiga Island. Water on every side, one bridge in, the kind of terrain where one guy with a spear can hold off 10,000. Which explains exactly why a room full of cowards felt safe enough to keep scheming instead of, saving anyone. Running that room was a hereditary mayor with the personality of wet cardboard. And standing quietly behind his shoulder, letting the mayor nod before anyone agreed to anything, was the actual problem. Kageyama Takeshi. A real protagonist, capital P, elite grade. Graduate of some nightmare curriculum called White Room Beta. Skills in disguise and guidance, stats higher than mine ever were. A face dialed down to exactly the right amount of unthreatening. First time standing across from a genuine main character of somebody else's story. Every instinct I owned said the same thing. Do not let this man see you clearly. So I didn't play his game. I kicked the front door of that meeting hall clean off its hinges. One guy slammed the table, called me a bastard. I answered with a slap that put him flat on the floor. By the time he thought about standing back up, there was a shotgun pointed at his face. My shotgun. The ultimate debate ender. I pulled out a chair. Sat down at the head of the room like I owned the place, which, functionally, I now did. I'm here for one thing. Saving people. Nobody argued. Nobody could. Saving people is too righteous to publicly oppose. Openly opposing it just hands everyone else an excuse to throw you out a window. Lion King walks the yard. Everyone else studies their shoes. I strong-armed every faction into handing over half their manpower, not to fight, just to haul supplies, escort survivors, bring people home. Under their own squad leaders, so I didn't have to babysit anybody's rabble. Flip one table, and the rest of the negotiation basically runs itself on autopilot. Then, I did the smart thing. Handed the actual haggling to Aunt Yoko. I'm 18. These men have been lying to their bosses since before I was born. You don't send a kid to outfox a den of foxes. You send an older fox. Every face in that room went pained the second she sat down. They knew, instantly, they'd just been outclassed by someone they'd underestimated on sight. While she worked, I studied the room. Clocked exactly 3 people worth remembering. The mayor, excellent grade purely from inherited office, harmless, decorative, basically a mascot. The mayor's mother, all mature allure and zero substance underneath. And Kageyama, sitting quiet in the second chair, letting a puppet nod for him. Mayor wears the crown. Kageyama holds the leash. Got it, filed, and I just walked my entire family into this man's fortress. Golden fingers sealed. Go if I misjudged him. Kageyama's plan for the mayor was subtle, almost gentle. Get his own guy embedded as an advisor. Tighten a screw here and there. Let the mayor feel powerful while somebody else steers. Classic shadow play. I've read this exact chapter before. It just usually isn't happening 2 feet from me in real time. Cooperation turned into an actual honeymoon fast. Supplies rolled in. Survivors came home. The same men who called me a bastard yesterday were suddenly praising the young man with real drive. A slap costs face, sure, but 100,000 in profit buys that face right back at a discount. The guy I floored would have offered his other cheek for a second payout. I respect the hustle, genuinely. I used the goodwill to smuggle out a shipwright, a jeweler, a master tailor, plugging every economic hole in my future territory in one trip. Also grabbed 40+ more women out of that mess. Leaving people behind isn't really my brand. Banked 2 titles while I was at it. Academy Knight, which lets me farm school-type dungeons where the talent pool is stacked. Flower Protecting Knight, which raises my odds of running into quality people. Boosts their starting opinion of me, too. For a guy playing Lord Simulator on hard mode, that's compound interest with extra steps. The mayor also got a lieutenant out of the deal, some competent yes-man named Ishikawa. He spent the rest of the meeting glowing about his new think tank. Proud Dad Energy, Science Half Edition. Kageyama nodded along, said the kid wasn't bad, then quietly told the mayor to invest in more guards. Smart. Predictable. Exactly what a man building a private security blanket around his puppet would say. But the real shadow on that island stayed Kageyama, and once I saw his home life, the whole thing clicked into place. Kid never met his mother growing up, raised as a literal lab experiment by a political maniac father, clawed his way to actual power. Now he controls both his hostess mother and the mayor with a flick of some red-eyed mind trick. Casual, like flipping a light switch. He's obsessed with the woman who abandoned him, disgusted by her in the same breath. A genuinely rough combo platter of trauma, and he's only 18. His mother tried the classic seduction routine on me, failed instantly because my character check has standards. She demanded her son avenge the insult. He looked at the whole situation, waited, and delivered his verdict flat. We can't be friends. Cold, efficient. Correct, actually. Somewhere out there, a screenwriter is taking notes on how to write a healthy relationship, and failing spectacularly. His protagonist trait is strong enough that it slid right past my own scanning habit. That never happens. I check panels constantly, out of pure reflex. His data just quietly ghosted past my notice, like he wasn't even rendered. Only one person in my whole crew caught him. Kimura Yumi, the quiet one. The overlooked cute girl nobody clocks at first glance. My house runs almost entirely on big sister energy. Cuteness has become a genuinely rare resource around here. She spoke up on the boat ride out, timid, barely audible. I think his smile is fake. Bingo, this guy's a stoic. He doesn't smile at strangers for no reason, ever. Definitely not at me. Lin Wei confirmed it a second later. The protagonist trait comes with a passive that smooths over exactly this kind of suspicion. Apparently strong enough to fool a system-reading pseudo-elite like me. Turns out, Futaki got her radar upgraded the hard way. Back in her original story, a best friend's sweet smile destroyed her life completely. After her fate got rewritten, that old wound apparently transmuted into a genuine hidden trait. Lie detection. Passive. Always on. I made her my personal read-the-room aide on the spot. When your golden finger's offline, a walking human polygraph is worth her weight in gold. No notes, hire immediately. New running gag, effective immediately. Kimura Yumi, human smoke detector. Somebody smiles a little too smooth in a meeting, she tugs my sleeve. I already know the answer before she opens her mouth. Best hire of the whole island. Cuter than a mascot, sharper than my own sealed skill. I'm keeping her on payroll forever. Possibly literally forever, given how this world runs its economy. Kageyama, on his end, was sweating bullets after we left. He'd almost slipped in front of me and knew it. That guy is definitely not simple. Yeah, buddy. Takes one to know one. New village cleared. Fresh mystery, courtesy of Lin Wei's crow. The bird had been getting a little too human lately, tilting its head, cawing on cue, acting less like wildlife, more like a coworker with opinions. Lin Wei asked it, out loud, which way to go. It thought about it. Actually thought. Then flew west. We followed. Found a clearing packed with 200 or 300 people. The entire student body of an all-girls academy called Hachimitsu. Survived, almost intact, on pure grit and zero help from anyone. Running the camp was an ice queen. Waist-length black hair, a default expression of, get away from me, Sato Mika. Famously, historically, allergically opposed to men. Once tried to get the entire male student population expelled from her own academy, back when academies were still a going concern. Lin Wei, naturally, ordered me to go shake her hand personally. Because of course she did. Mika hesitated. You could watch her run the math in real time. Group of exhausted girls. No facilities. No backup. The only other options were a haunted estate or a government eating itself alive. Every smiling face in my crew was, unfortunately, still the best deal on the table. She shook my hand anyway, braced for the nausea she fully expected to feel. It never came. She stared at her own palm like it had betrayed her. Here's the thing nobody tells you about running a genuine harem instead of a collector's habit. I only want my own people, not every pretty face that walks by. Passed her personal gross-out test completely by accident, purely by not being a creep. That apparently counts as a miracle around here. Turns out Mika's the crow girl. Perception sharing, split across 5 crows. A live, full-map view of the entire zone. Recon tech so overpowered it shouldn't exist this early. The system apparently agreed. It refused to cap her below excellent grade no matter how hard it tried. She signed on, brought her entire student body along as a bonus. Troublemakers and all, mine to sort out later. We also picked up a sweet, clumsy genius named Nakamura Saki, carrying a sealed skill called Domino Effect. The system flagged it with a warning. Basically read, Certified Disaster, use own luck at own risk. Cool, I have infinite luck. I'll gamble on that grenade some other day. The hope didn't last, though. We swept Mika's actual home base, and the place was empty. Her father had already been swapped for an imposter, one who'd tried to kill her once, then bailed off a rooftop straight into the zombie horde rather than get caught twice. Same story every single time. Same pattern as the sniper's post. Same as every stop on this whole map. The real players keep vanishing a half step ahead of us. We're running this entire campaign on their home turf. My one skill that actually skips the plot stays sealed shut tight. I've built a family. I've built an army. I've built a hidden economy stacked 3 tiers deep. Sniper, crow girl, a smoke detector maid. A matriarch who runs the household like a benevolent dictator. One with excellent taste in weapons. And every real enemy on this board keeps slipping through my fingers. 100,000 zombies keep grinding closer in the dark. Patient, unbothered, waiting. For the exact moment I finally run out of luck to borrow. Ask me again once that horde actually arrives. Day 7. That's the number that mattered. 6 days and change still counts as 7. I want that on record. Because if I'd been half an hour slower, a bunch of aunties would have lost their daughters forever, and I really don't need that on my conscience along with everything else. Somewhere far away, Kimura Daichi felt himself get marked. His face went grave. Of course he did. He's the Lord of Souls. Marking the biggest threat first is just good business. Lucky for him, he was hiding in the Void Mansion when it happened. Temporarily unkillable. Spatial authority, early game, broken as usual. Short of conquering the whole map and cutting his power off at the source, nobody's touching him in there. Rude. Very on brand for a villain. So the Horde looked at its target list. Government forces, numerous, dug in, low value. Scattered elite squads, annoying terrain, still low value. Fujita Estate, high value, exposed, juicy. Guess who won that lottery? Lady Mayfen caught the movement first. Every zombie, except a token 5,000 babysitting the island route, was marching on the estate. All of them, at once. They're going for the biggest threat first, Fujita Sakura said, marking the sand table. Made no sense to me. If I ran that horde, I'd just ring the estate and grind everyone else down at leisure. Slow siege. Patient. That's the smart play. Because of energy, Linwei said. She was in my arms at the time, for reasons that will become extremely clear later. Zombies aren't perpetual motion machines. 7 days in, their starting battery is dead. They need a refill. And thanks to our little decapitation threat, the boss can't refill in small, safe batches. Every batch reveals his position. So he's forced to gamble everything at once. One big, all-in push. Poker with 100,000 chips. We still hadn't found him. Lady Mayfen is better at hiding things than she is at finding them hiding, and even she was stumped. What do we do? Linwei asked. We help, I said. Obviously. Sitting home waiting for fate to sort itself out has never been my style. Fate talent or not, deep down I only believe in one thing. Man conquers nature. Or, in this case, man conquers 100,000 rotting nature enthusiasts. The scale of it was insane. The moment the horde massed, the sky itself thickened with army aura, and every trick anyone had got suppressed on the spot. Lady Mayfen's birdlink kept shrinking the closer we got. Couldn't even punch through the center anymore. That's what a 100,000-strong army field does. It bullies the weather. I picked 2 elite squads, me, Linwei, Lady Mayfen, obviously. Squad 1, the original High School of the Dead crew, Kanda Ayame, Morita Hana, Fujita Sakura, Hayashi Akari, Yamada Emi, Siri Clara. Squad 2, Hachimitsu Academy's finest, Takenomiya Kate, Shiraki Meiko, Midori Kawahana, Beto Risa, Nakamura Saki, Yokoyama Anko. We brought the plot armory. 2 sniper rifles, 1 rifle, 1 shotgun, 2 pistols. That loadout screams one thing. We were hunting a high-value target. And once Lin Wei or Yamada Emi fired a shot, the whole squad would need to sprint for our lives immediately after. No room for extra bodies. I originally wanted just 3 of us. Everyone vetoed that instantly. Goodbyes were loud.
Be careful. Goddess, be careful. Sister, safety first. Then, Yoko and Mickey demanded hugs, and the family tradition of wearing approximately 1 piece of cloth per person came along for the ride. I fled with my hands over my face. Everyone laughed. Mission accomplished, apparently, by everyone but me. Watching us go through the Void Mansion's eyes, the aunties weren't just teasing. They were building a reason for me to come back. Every extra bond, every extra face I loved, was one more thing to survive for when things got ugly. And they were about to get very ugly. Yoshida Miki went and hugged her comatose daughter Yumi, skin to skin, the oldest kind of love there is. Lin Wei said recovery just needed time, but everyone quietly knew the truth. Stay broken long enough and you become a vegetable for real. Meanwhile, Fujita Yoko fixed her slipping strap, picked up a dropped dress, and quietly took over running the house. Supplies, equipment, rest schedules, even makeshift classes for the Chungshen Academy captives, poetry and music to keep their minds fighting the control. Everybody was pulling their weight. Out in the field, we shadowed the horde toward the estate. The closer we got, the shorter Lady Mei Fen's bird range shrank until it capped at 500 meters. Army field suppression, undead flavor. The sun itself looked dimmer under that aura, like the world had switched to a worse color filter. Lucky we're still early game, or just standing this close would tick our health bar down for fun. We found a vantage point. Not the tallest building, because the tallest building screams, "Snipe me!" Just some anonymous mid-rise nobody would ever pick twice. We rigged a fake barrier to sell the illusion the floor was a dead end. Wouldn't fool a person. Fools zombies, fine. A few scout waves wandered by, found nothing, wandered off. We even let a couple zombies stand guard up top because free camouflage. The spot had an exit plan too. Not too close, not too far from the horde's edge. Worst case, we hop to the next building, and as long as they don't throw more than 5,000 zombies at us specifically, we walk away fine. Getting past the birds and cats and dogs on constant patrol, though, that one I had to just accept as a loss. Anything unusual? Nothing. So we did counter-recon the old-fashioned way. Pulled the scopes off the sniper rifles, anti-glare treated, used them as binoculars. Heat insulated the whole room in case the enemy had thermal vision mutants, kept it ventilated to bleed off body heat. Lin Wei didn't dare use her divine power the entire time. And still, nothing. No target, no commander. Maybe he hadn't even arrived. Honestly, if I were him, I'd stay hidden too. Version where numbers are king, remember? Commander bonus barely matters yet. If he was running this whole operation remote, our entire plan was already dead in the water. All right, let's sleep, I said. I pulled Lin Wei and Yamada Emi into my arms and passed out on the spot. Best way to keep their luck primed for later. I'd done everything humanly possible already. The rest belonged to fate, and overthinking burns calories I didn't have to spare. Watching me actually fall asleep calmed the whole squad down more than any pep talk could have. Big heart energy is contagious. Nakamura Saki, tucked against me, looked almost reverent. Little did she know, she was the actual trump card. Sato Mika took over as scout in command without anyone asking. 2 people on watch with her, everyone else resting. She stayed half-conscious the whole time to keep the bird link warm, which is exactly why I could sleep so confidently. Perfect anime wife behavior. Responsible, patient, loyal down to the bone. They bicker constantly and still never let you down when it counts. Then Clara woke me up. "Little Liu, wake up, the enemy's attacking." Pitch dark outside, 10 at night. Nighttime is a human weakness and 0% a zombie weakness, which is exactly the tactic Kimura's side was running. Sniper scopes are basically useless in the dark. Cute. Very cute. Clara wanted to see too, jumping up and down at a viewport too high for her. I hoisted her onto my shoulders. She loved the new seat immediately. "Lady Mei Fen, anything?" "Nothing. Ordinary zombies. No target. Even at the estate, only small fry." Great. Exactly the direction I least wanted this to go. The assault itself had 0 flair. Basic attacks, over and over, no tricks required. When your numbers are big enough, tricks are optional. The horde filled every pit, built ramps over every wall, and just kept coming like a tidal wave that never checked the tide charts. 7 days without heavy machinery, and the humans had somehow raised a near 3-meter wall. Miracle tier construction. Didn't matter. The wave crashed anyway. The defenders had been hypnotized into morale that didn't crack under horror movie visuals, so they actually counterattacked. Didn't last.
fell back to the second line in minutes. Fire bought them a pause. Even Fujita Sakura, watching from our hideout, broke a cold sweat. "Good thing we didn't stay and hold the line," she said. The whole defensive fantasies she'd once had about the estate's high walls evaporated in real time. First wave cost the zombies 5,000 bodies. Feels heavy. It's always heavy at first. That's just what first over-the-wall tax looks like in any siege in history. Half an hour later, Wave 2 barely dented them. 2,000 kills, some of that from a fire trap, and the defense line folded again anyway. Retreat, regroup, repeat. Suicidal, mindless, and somehow still working. Even I, an outsider with zero skin in the game, felt the despair radiating off that scene. The last line broke. Zombies flooded the estate. The humans didn't quit even then. "For our God!" they screamed, splitting into cells, hiding in whatever fortifications still stood, running ambushes and traps to grind the numbers down before they died. And they did grind numbers. 2,000 freshly armed nobodies took out nearly 20,000 zombies before the end. Incredible. Also completely pointless because nobody who mattered lost anything. Not one high-value figure showed up on either side. Not the zombie commander, not a single lord from the human camp. Kimura Daiichi and Sato Hiroki had clearly bailed the second the estate got abandoned, because that's what nobles do. War logic never changes. A farmer's kid dies fighting some other farmer's kid, and the actual masters stay comfortable no matter who wins. Nukes were the one invention that finally forced peace, and it wasn't out of love. It was because suddenly the masters could die too. Equality by mutually assured incineration. Before nukes, and apparently in every apocalypse afterward, the disposable pawns just fight and die, full stop. Yokoyama Unko was furious about it, and it showed. She had one boot up on the railing, leaning forward in a miniskirt that left absolutely nothing to negotiate. "Cousin, be more ladylike," Saki said, blushing. "Relax, I've got safety shorts on," Anko said, tugging her skirt to prove it. Upper half remained fully generous regardless, one button done up. Full one-piece, smoker-grabbing Tashigi energy. Besides, it's just Zhou Feng here. He's seen it all before. Saki, quiet and bookish where her cousin is a walking hazard sign, just went redder. Their bickering snapped me back to the moment. "Are we retreating, or?" Linwei asked. Fair question. We'd crept in close, right under the enemy's nose, into the shrine behind the estate, the same one where Kanda Ayame once got her weapon upgrade. Core fortification zone. Great view. Bad address once the zombies finished mopping up and started sweeping outward. We had an escape tunnel. We'd still get hunted the second we used it. And after watching that entire horde and never once getting a shot at the actual commander, I could already picture the shape of getting surrounded and erased later. So I made a call. "Linwei, you all go. I want to use that move." "Trying to hog all the glory," she said, playful. But nobody was actually leaving. Every single face in that room said, "We live or die together, thanks." Fine. Heaven and earth endure together. I looked at Nakamura Saki, and all I felt was guilt. "Saki, I'm sorry." She knew exactly what was coming. Fingers twisted together, face gone apple red, and she didn't pull away. I unsealed her power the only way the story lets me unseal it. Domino effect. Released. The floor answered first. A support pillar cracked, then the next one. Then the whole front half of the shrine came down like it had been waiting for permission. We survived, badly rattled, staring at the trembling girl still gripping my clothes. Then the effect kept going. Rip. My clothes tore straight off, full leather armor shredded like tissue paper, because unchained causality doesn't negotiate with fabric. Then it reached Saki's outfit, and one by one down the squad, the dominoes kept falling on anyone not already exempt. Linwei and Kanda Ayame had already ditched their one-use fashion items in time. A few of the newer girls weren't as lucky, and there was a lot of screaming, and the level of chaos in that shrine will remain classified. "This level's not enough," Linwei said. "I know," I said, because Saki was still technically an outsider to the family bond, and that gap was exactly why the effect kept slipping loose. We closed that gap. Immediately. Problem solved. Mostly. Outside, the real fireworks were just getting started. A zombie tripped over a torch. The torch landed in unignited gasoline. Whoosh. Its feet caught fire. It kept shuffling because it doesn't feel pain, and it lit a second zombie before finally collapsing. That second zombie happened to be standing near a stash of diesel. Boom. Fuel sprayed everywhere, flammable prep materials caught, and more zombies started burning. The commander finally noticed and ordered a retreat. Too late. That was domino number 1, and remote command means you can't tell which corpse is currently on fire until it bumps into a friend and shares. 1 passed the flame to 2, 2 to 4, and the manor turned into one continuous inferno, corpse by corpse, wall by wall.
Out on the water,
Kimura Daichi had been waiting for exactly this fire, and he leapt up, screaming, "Good, good, good!" like he'd personally invented arson. From the moment he first saw that estate, he knew it wasn't defensible. No terrain advantage, barely any bodies to hold it. So the second Kageyama Takeshi surrendered it to him, he quietly rigged the whole place into a death trap. The fire lit early. Even better than scheduled, as far as he was concerned. "Congratulations, my lord. Destiny favors you," Shido said, flattering as usual. Kimura laughed. If this had failed, he'd have been finished, so relief hit him like a drug. Burn 10,000 zombies and he still survives comfortably. Add the 20,000 already dead at the wall, and the horde stops being an unstoppable murder tide. "That so-called principle of yours keeps handing us free comebacks," he told Shido, gloating about the terrain disadvantage on our side and how a bridge-locked island can't be swarmed the same way. Advantage? His. He genuinely believed that. He also had personal business to settle. Being threatened by lowly ants, hiding at home like a coward, felt like a betrayal to his ego. He wanted the culprit found and swallowed whole. Somebody was going to pay for making a god feel cuckolded. "An ordinary human could never compare to a god like you," Shido said. Man is very good at his job. "Right, we sail. Next time we return, we rule the world," Kimura said, thoroughly pleased with himself. Meanwhile, the actual rat responsible for all of it was extremely depressed. Lady Mei Fen, still curled in my arms, refused to relax her watch even for a second, and she's the one who spotted the whole fleet pulling away. Now that they had the advantage, they lit torches without fear, which made them easy to track. Less funny part? The fire attack worked so well, it trapped us too. The shrine, halfway up the mountain, got surrounded by the same blaze we'd started. Didn't burn us, just sealed the exits for a while. We watched, powerless, as the enemy fleet sailed off and quietly took Fujimi City with the help of an inside man. Somewhere far off, in a place I can only describe as mysterious, something was having a full tantrum. Because Kimura's estimate was way off. Not 10,000, 20,000 zombies burned. The horde dropped from 100,000 to 50,000 in one night. Still the biggest army on the board, technically. No longer an unstoppable one. Getting rich overnight and then finding out half of it burned would make anyone furious. Fine, this way I can actually afford to maintain them, came the consolation prize thought. Because too big an army has upkeep costs, and undead need to eat too. Their food is death energy. Energy is conserved. That's why these particular corpses went up like kindling, starved of protective death energy. They were basically walking fire hazards waiting for a match. Recall every remaining zombie, regroup, wait for the rematch. There's still a small island out there that could be erased with a flick of the hand, and bone-deep hatred for whoever wiped out 50,000 troops in one night. No system notification about our deaths meant we were still alive, and there was really only one place we could have gone. We'll see what happens later. Dawn came, no ambush waiting, and we crawled out of the wreckage. Thick, foul stench everywhere. We brought the rest of the villa crew over and got to work. And by work, I mean breaking down thousands of zombie corpses so the death faction couldn't harvest them for a comeback army. Not glamorous. Necessary. Nobody complained. Nobody acted spoiled. In this world, waking up alive already counts as winning the lottery. All the zombies retreated to the West District? Yes. That part actually bugged me more than the ambush. The West District had been cleared out days ago. No hidden ambush, no scenario twist. So why go there? Had the enemy just emerged, or had they been squatting there the whole time, close enough that we could have saved a bunch of people earlier if we'd known? That thought alone made me want to throw up a little. "A mist of the dead is rising where they're gathering," Lady Mei Fen said, biting her nail. "Crows can't get close. Enemy knows my scouting trick now. Ignore it. Clear the ruins first. Security's on you," I told her. She didn't argue. It was her job to begin with. Once I was busy elsewhere, she poked her little sister Mingsha in the ribs. "Any regrets?" "Why would I have regrets? I'm an adult, sis, with my own judgment," Mingsha said. She knew her sister thought this whole arrangement was just debt repayment. It wasn't. Not anymore. "You usually hate boys the most. Don't force yourself," Mingsha pushed back. Lady Mei Fen stayed calm about it. "Your sister's a woman too. Eventually I have to marry someone. If I meet a good man, I marry him. Simple as that. This is the apocalypse, Mingsha. In the wild, the strongest males get more mates, and that's not immorality. That's survival logic. Besides, I can't hold this family up alone." Mingsha blushed and rubbed her legs together. Message received. They'd both been carrying that knot for a while. Lady Mei Fen basically raised Mingsha after their dad turned out unreliable. Big sister as mother duty. And now that her own sister finally had someone solid to lean on, Mingsha felt something in her chest loosen for the first time in years. I got a notification while all that was happening. System says, congratulations, saved Hachimitsu Academy, gained another chunk of Academy Night and Guardian Night progress. Keep it up. I really didn't do anything, I said, genuinely confused, because titles like that are usually murderously hard to earn. Keep dreaming, Linwei said, unimpressed by my humble act. Fair. I was absolutely showing off internally. Living off a woman's carry is genuinely the good life. Clearing the whole estate took about 3 hours, wiped out a plague source, and cut off the enemy's future soldier pipeline, all without the enemy ever noticing I was involved. Sneaky landlord energy. Perfect crime. My earlier heist on Chengshen Academy doesn't count, because that one got noticed, which, by this logic, makes it the version where the husband comes home early. Nature rewarded the effort. My druid class hit its stage cap. New skills: sense water source, fire control, wind control. Spirit stat maxed at 10. Nice, because druid was supposed to be my weak class. You can't farm animal kills for experience without it feeling wrong, and that quietly kills one whole leveling path. Getting the weak class capped first and getting spirit maxed alongside it was a genuine relief. Saves resources too. As for the actual skills, they're mid. Fire control is officially described in the tooltip as a trick. Great for camping, not exactly a war winner. What actually got me hyped was the next line. Task complete. Dust yourself off. Hide your merit and your fame. Congratulations. Big chunk of strategist information unlocked. Keep it up. Even the system confirms the enemy never clocked who burned their army. That fire trick just bought me another step toward the strategist trait. Then the last one. Started with 2 people, now a 3-way balance. Congratulations on breaking the deadlock. People who've lived through actual war know the hardest part is surviving until the turning point. Stalingrad, Wuhan. Early stages are always the worst. Linwei, did we really just break the deadlock? I think so, she said, sounding just as bewildered as me. Happiness arriving that suddenly makes everyone a little stupid. By the time we got back to the villa, I was walking around dazed, practically matching the controlled girl's blank stare. Except this time, the vibe felt different. Difference was, someone was actually taking care of them now, and they seemed to have a little more color in their eyes for it. Checking their control levels confirmed it. The intensity had genuinely dropped. The method was working. That's great, the auntie said, thrilled. Fujita Sakura retold the whole battle at the debrief, blow by blow, and it landed like a blockbuster. My last stand gamble sounded downright heroic on replay. Nobody in that room wasn't moved. Biggest winner of the retelling, besides me, was obviously Nakamura Saki. First time everyone got to see domino effect in action. I'm not that amazing, she said, though the once clumsy, kind-hearted girl carried herself noticeably more composed now. Still shy, though. Buried her face straight into her Three Kingdoms manga the second everyone stared. Her attribute panel told the real story anyway. Marrying into the family bumped her quality straight to excellent. Pillar of the family energy, unlocked. All right, stop teasing Saki, Linwei said, then pivoted straight to business. Lady Mei Fen, your range is back. Keep gathering intel. Breaking the deadlock isn't the same as winning. Probing, alliances, betrayals, all still on the table. Understood, goddess. Then, ladies, prepare the banquet. Don't drink too much. We go again tomorrow. Cheers erupted. Snacks got demanded.
Kanda Ayame and Shiraki Meiko took over the kitchen with the aunties. Other girls hauled drinks, and the whole house turned genuinely lively for the first time in a week. We survived, Linwei said, smiling, guilty in the good way, the kind of guilt that comes from dragging someone into a crisis and then watching them make it out alive. That's exactly why she'd been stuffing new girls into the family non-stop. More bonds, more reasons to fight, more anchors against giving up. She caught me admiring her and blushed, then punched me twice for the crime of looking, then hugged Linwei away from me out of pure tsundere reflex. Suffering an entirely undeserved beating, I grabbed the nearest available comfort object, which happened to be Beto Risa. Risa's the vice president with the bamboo sword, gloomy by reputation, seriously strong in a fight, once soloed a combined attack from Meiko and Hana and lived to tell it. Fashion sense used to be a war crime. Cut her own hair short for convenience, mildly misandrist, secretly a total softie. Earned the nickname Bamboo Sword Ugly Girl for her trouble. Her new mother, Miyamoto Rikiko, handed her a proper wardrobe, and the transformation started immediately. Because it turns out, Risa never had bad bones, just bad taste. New hairstyle, a little makeup, and she rejoined the beauty tier instantly. She's even growing her hair out now, because apparently somebody mentioned liking long hair once. Risa, Ayame, Miko, and Hana make up the family's frontline tier now. Real talent gaps exist even among elites. Ayame slices zombies like she's doing prep work for dinner. Hana handles a spear effortlessly. Miko does 50 pull-ups on her fingers. Hana can literally punch a boy across a room. That's just a different category of gifted.
Confidence plus actual care did the rest. Risa melted into my arms like a kitten, smiling, completely unaware of what I was thinking about, which is lucky because she owns a bamboo sword and knows how to use it. The family finally has a B-rank unit. Worth the beating. I checked the contribution board while I was at it. Sakura, Hana, Saki, and a few others had already crunched the numbers for this operation, and I just rubber-stamped it.
Anyone who disagreed could formally object, and half the house uses that button constantly, though the way they use it is a little strange. Ayame filed a complaint on Yokoyama Anko's behalf, insisting Anko's oxygen flow warning in the tunnel deserved more credit than it got. That's the whole vibe here, everyone fighting to make sure somebody else gets enough credit. Ridiculous. Kind of wonderful. I approved it, obviously, and Lin Wei backed the same call independently. Lin Wei, can you actually train in this technique too? I pointed at a new panel entry, the reward for this whole heaven-defying stunt. Just one item, which in this world means it's absurdly valuable. A god-tier cultivation method called the Emperor's Inner Cannon. Lin Wei's eyes went dangerous the second she clocked how smug I looked. She flat-out suplexed me on the spot, double leg choke into a shoulder throw, demanded my surrender, got it, and slumped back onto the sofa looking thoroughly satisfaction with herself. More girls kept joining the household, and Lin Wei quietly worried about my stamina budget, right up until the human race's own mother dropped this particular reward in our lap. Considering what we'd just prevented, an enemy conspiracy that could have cost us a rout, or worse, blown up in our own backyard, it tracked. Still made even Lin Wei jealous. What a freak, she muttered, half admiring, half annoyed, because I'd basically opened this entire situation up just by lying around and letting charm do the work. This is the Yellow Emperor's Inner Cannon, she told me later, deadly serious for once. Other lords can't redeem more than a few levels before it kills them. You got the complete version. Be grateful. Why can't they redeem more? Lack of authority? She went quiet, genuinely stunned by the audacity of that question. Then explained it slow, like I was a toddler asking why the rich don't just print more money. God-tier techniques come with brutal prerequisites. Bonuses that good aren't optional to unlock, they're gated. Once something hits God tier, it's basically bespoke. Force it without meeting the requirements, and it performs worse than an ordinary technique. Made sense. I stopped asking. Party time. Nobody in the Yuhuan family can afford fancy formal banquets yet. We're still a startup after all. So everything was improvised singing and dancing, shy girls gently dragged into it, quieter girls left alone out of respect, and every single controlled girl brought along and consulted like she could actually answer, because by now the house genuinely treats them like family, not furniture. Yoshida Miki walked over, supporting her comatose daughter Yumi, face flushed. Goddess, could the Lord's talent help Yumi? Possibly, Lin Wei said, but Yumi can't consent right now. That's the actual wall we kept hitting. Everything else lined up. The person involved just couldn't speak for herself. Then what if I use her authority as guardian? Normally, nobody touches your panel but you. Vegetative states are the one exception. Yumi qualified. Have you thought about what happens if she wakes up and blames you? Lin Wei asked, gently. This was basically arranging a marriage without the bride's knowledge, and that kind of thing can breed serious resentment later. Miki just smiled, sad, stroking her daughter's hair. I'd rather she hate me than never wake up at all. She opened Yumi's panel and clicked the application herself. Lin Wei nodded, quietly impressed. Former business elite, that sense of responsibility runs deep. She approved it with a small, knowing smile, because for the aunt, dignity was about to become the least of her problems. Liberated on the spot, I had exactly zero say in any of it. Sold like a piece of furniture, again, without so much as a heads up. Then Miki walked over, arms crossed in that classic pose of hers, clothes hitting the floor for the second time that night, despite Yoko's best housekeeping efforts. There's no need for this, everyone's. She cut me off with a kiss on the forehead. Yumi's my daughter. Aren't the other girls my daughters too? I understood her, right then, completely. Boundless is the only word for it. Now show me what you've got, little Zhou Feng. Don't tell me you can't. The cold, disdainful tone came right back on cue, and even knowing it was an act, it worked on me every single time. Meanwhile, Kurashiki Haruka, without a word, quietly stepped in and handled her sister's side of things. Some weight isn't meant to be carried alone. System chimed in. Yoshida Miki, Haruka, and Yumi officially registered as Yuhuan family members. That house descended into full chaos after that, and honestly, I finally understood why every lord dreams of building a harem the size of a small country. A technique like this, dual cultivation, sharing stamina between partners, is the kind of dream every man secretly has. And it wasn't even hard. I ran it once, and it just switched on, fully automatic, top realm unlocked instantly, borrowing everyone else's stamina without spending a drop of my own. Everyone else, admittedly, ended the night a little worse for wear. Wife, is this actually real? Lin Wei lounged on the sofa, one hand on a book, the other on herself,
no clothes, and still somehow looking like a museum piece nobody's allowed to touch. Of course it's real, she said, seriously, for once skipping the teasing. Your authority's high enough that you slide straight to the top. Think of the world like a computer. Time, space, and fate are your accelerators. It benefits the whole world too, which is why you got so close to the source laws. That's the actual peak of dual cultivation. Harmony with the Tao. She'd only just realized how deep the mother of humanity's setup went. A big sister dangling candy in front of a newborn world, whispering that following her pays off. It quietly guts the enemy's biggest structural advantage, too. Got it, I said. Fake dual cultivation just shares stamina. Real dual cultivation resonates with the actual Tao itself. Cheap control hypnotizes minds, or in worse cases, runs on hormones like some goblin breeding pit. True control shows you heaven directly. God-tier technique, terrifyingly effective, as advertised. Since everyone's still low level, the payoff stays limited for now, but Lin Wei found two real benefits worth noting. First, a burst of comprehension while in that harmony state, seconds of clarity that let her review every mistake and correction in her whole skill set at once. Elite customized talent versus mass-produced standardized talent, basically. Everyone in this house has a different build, different strengths, and a rigid universal class wastes half of it. This technique lets everyone actually reach their real ceiling. Just thinking about unleashing every girl in the house at full potential made her breathing pick up a little. Second benefit? A lingering afterglow. Comprehension stays doubled for a while after. Learning stops being painful the moment you can remember everything at a glance, and that alone raises everyone's long-term growth cap. There's a bonus for me, too. That state reads deception and lies with total clarity, which means Lin Wei never has to worry about being fooled. And honestly, after tasting something like that, ordinary flattery just reads as noise now. Only downside for her, apparently, is her resistance to a certain someone keeps dropping. Lucky you, she said, and kicked me under the table. I grabbed the benefit anyway. Wouldn't be much of a man if I didn't. So the horde thins out, numbers drop, and suddenly this isn't survival anymore. It's mop-up duty, cakewalk mode. My girls are elite now. Not Lord of Souls elite, but close enough that a sloppy zombie gets its head taken clean off before it even registers the threat. 2 sniper rifles still sitting untouched in storage. I don't even need them. Rude, honestly, how easy this got. Let's take a break. I look at my exhausted beauties and feel 2 things at once. Proud because nobody complained, not once, and guilty because these are girls, not tanks, and I've been running them like a raid boss farm for days straight. Normal pace from now on, Lin Wei says. Night fighting is a liability. We've had close calls already, too many for comfort. Sakura relays it down the chain. Cheers erupt. Actual cheers. Turns out my army just wanted a bedtime. Finally, I get to sleep, someone yells. Yeah, everyone's safe now, officially. Zombie apocalypse, mostly handled. That night, we throw a party in the courtyard because the villa can't fit this many people anymore. 2 reasons for the bash. 1, we survived. 2, we're formally welcoming the new transfer students from Advanced Nurturing High School. I raise a canned beer like it's champagne. We survived! Ha ha ha! First time anyone's seen me laugh like that. Full body, no filter. Nobody thinks it's weird. They just smile back because they know. The girls who lived through the 100,000 zombie gauntlet know exactly what that laugh costs. Even the aunties are wiping their eyes. Lin Wei is looking at me like I hung the moon, because from where she was standing, I basically did. Cheers. Cheers. 1 word and the whole party detonates. Singing, drinking, some questionable finger-guessing games, and me getting drunk for the first time in this entire ordeal, because apparently the girls had been tag-teaming my cup all night. Sneaky. I respect it. Meanwhile, upstairs, Takahashi Akane is recruiting. She pulls Yamamoto Kana aside first. Then they find Kato Mei, Kondo Yuna, and Inoue Chika already waiting, because word travels fast among class reps. These 5 are the actual leadership of the whole academy. Sakayanagi speaks first, delicate face, silver hair, cane in one hand because she's got a congenital heart condition and a wheelchair habit. Fragile looking. Do not be fooled. This girl is a knife wrapped in lace. Oh, our thorn-crowned Akane has been busy. Akane doesn't blink. Don't overthink it. It's the family contribution system. Dowry, basically. Sakayanagi's smile goes stiff. Not from piety. She's not the praying type. It's the family part that stings, because in the source material, she's literally the principal's daughter, and Lin Wei took the principal's job. Mom energy incoming, whether Chico wants it or not. Bad girls fear nothing except their actual mothers. Universal law. Akane moves to Kana next. Ice Queen. 0 empathy, 0 interest in bonding, world's most polished loner. But a rose is still a rose, and she doesn't object. Box checked. Then Kato Mei, quiet type, purple eyes, over-the-knee socks, genuinely loves being alone, not performing it. Akane knows Mei's already solved the puzzle in her head 3 sentences ago, so Akane skips ahead. Save the smart ones for last, that's the move. Kondo Yuna is the soft target. Pink hair, generous heart, terrible at saying no. Yuna, your take? I don't know. You don't want our people treated like outsiders later, do you? Moral blackmail, deployed at point-blank range. Yuna folds instantly, face redder than a tomato, agreeing to something she barely understood. Kind girls get bullied into greatness. It's tradition. Akane grabs Kana and Mei by the hand and marches. Kana token resists, which is just maiden shyness in a trench coat. Mei goes without a fight. Yuna, too embarrassed to just follow, drags Sakayanagi along out of pure second-hand panic, and now it's a hostage parade. Yuna, let go of me, Chika hisses, composure cracking for the first time all night. They find the culprit fast. Lin Wei, my elf, my beautiful, scheming elf, who just puppet-mastered 5 class leaders into a group recruitment drive without lifting a finger, because that's just Tuesday for her. She's currently cosplaying as Morita Hana's old script, the strong, cute girl who's actually hiding a blade scar from a bullying incident under her ribs. Same wound, different face. Lin Wei clocks it in one look and reels her in gentle. Nobody gets left behind. That's the rule. A protagonist who abandons people isn't a protagonist, just a guy with plot armor and no heart. So the teachers come too. Have you thought this through? Lin Wei is still asking, but the contract's already in her other hand. The girls go scarlet, every single archetype from Ice Queen to cunning schemer reduced to the same blushing mess. None of them refuse. Handprints go down. Names light up on the parchment, and nobody notices 2 names already printed above theirs, because Lin Wei angled her body just right. Welcome, welcome, someone chuckles from the shadows. Kanda Ayame steps out with the rest of the ambush squad. The girls want to bury themselves in blankets and never resurface. Come with me, Ayame says, and takes Kana off to get her a proper wardrobe. Is all Kana manages. First soft word she's said all night, and it's to her new big sister/instant crush. Behind the scenes, Lin Wei had already gamed this out the moment everyone walked through the gate. Kana's a little too proud, so she gets handed to someone even more terrifying. Ayame, the publicly recognized Shura princess. Kana gets humbled on day 1. Good. Character development achieved through blunt force trauma. Takahashi Akane gets Morita Hana as her mentor, because Hana took one look at that scar under Akane's ribs and nearly cried. Instant recognition. Instant home. Akane folds like a lawn chair the second someone treats her like a daughter instead of a costume. Kondo Yuna gets bundled in with Hayashi Akari's crew, because the airhead and the overly generous girl balance each other out perfectly. One covers the softness, the other covers the organizing. Kato Mei goes to Fujita Sakura, groomed as a second strategist, and the second Mei realizes she's actually being valued. She's sold, dead quiet on the outside, fully recruited on the inside. Inoue Chika gets dragged along by Lin Wei herself, and status pressure does the rest. Nobody outschemes the goddess. Nobody. 5 brand new brides bloom at once. The aloof rose, the thorny crown girl, the quiet lily hiding her own talent, the selfless daisy, the gloomy pansy. Even Lin Wei can't help herself. So beautiful. Then they walk into the room and find the teachers standing there in matching outfits, and everybody realizes both sides had the exact same idea at the exact same time. Shimizu Nao, Abe Sora, mirror image of the students. Deep collective gasp, followed immediately by deep collective blushing. Lin Wei's fingerprints are all over this setup, but it's not malice, it's matchmaking with extra steps. I wake up mid-cuddle, and something's off. Wrong scent, violets instead of the usual. I open my eyes and, yep, somehow Shimizu Nao has replaced whoever I fell asleep next to. Cold professional mask, completely melted into a blush. Now, I kiss her forehead. She melts further. Husband. Ding! Shimizu Nao, Abe Sora, Takahashi Akane, Yamamoto Kana, Kato Mei, Kondo Yuna, Inoue Chika, all official family now. Current head count, 69. I stopped counting wedding gowns a while ago. Now I count org charts. That's the real flex. Next morning, I'm gently poking at the scar under Akane's ribs. Still hurt? Nah, healed ages ago. She snuggles in, happy, genuinely happy. I pet her honey-colored hair and think about how well the nickname fits her. Crown of thorns, also called the iron begonia. Tiny flowers, brutal stems. Stubborn but loyal, gentle but fierce. Same for Yuna, whose flower language is purity and hope. These girls got assigned their own symbolism and didn't even know it. All right, up you get. Breakfast done. Next phase of zombie cleanup kicks off. Not urgent anymore, just tidy up work. I try to head out, and Lin Wei physically kicks me back inside. This is not your job anymore. Turns out, Kana and the others had already snuck off ahead of me, so everyone's giving me the righteous side-eye for even trying. Fine. I sacrifice my morning to babysit beautiful girls. Tragic. Truly the hardest job in the multiverse. Later, I find out the real reason Lin Wei benched me. It's not about safety. It's skill farming. Real combat with your partner active turns proficiency gains into a fire hose. Everyone wants in on that. Of course they do. Fine. We're near the finish line anyway. Zombie clearing stops being my #1 job. Consolidating the family becomes the real work now. 40 new elites just walked in, pushing our high-quality talent count past 100, which means my cursed plant, the fate-devouring demon vine, finally stops threatening to explode from overload. Genuinely good news. Also, we're not just recruiting elites anymore. Regular NPCs are joining too, starting with the teachers and students from Advanced Nurturing High School. The sealed beauties get released one by one, and step 1 of onboarding is frontline duty. So the battlefield becomes a training camp. Veterans rotate into logistics, escorting recruits. Building supply chains. Every weapon we brought is basically worn down to 0 durability, so home production goes on the agenda. Food chains too, because the world lock resets in 7 months, and scavenging a dead city forever isn't a business model. I'm busier now than during the actual war. Funny how that works. And here's the part nobody warns you about. Ordinary NPCs are dumb. Not insulting dumb, just baseline dumb. Low intelligence, slow to adapt. Some genuinely qualify as silly girls. Learning curve like a brick wall. A few can barely hold one job, even with hand-holding. But it's not permanent. Experience grows intelligence over time, like leveling a stat nobody can see. Give it long enough, they become real people, fully formed. The ratio's rough though. 1% of recruits start inferior, 10% start average. Only the elites arrive plug and play. Lin Wei, is it true most starting lords get stuck with garbage-tier residents? I'm asking this face down on my elf brand body pillow after another exhausting day. Of course, she's in her sage hour mood, doesn't even mind my hand wandering. Not many people awaken lord talent per year, but stack up enough years and the number gets big. Every new lord gets the tutorial difficulty roster, no exceptions, wastes nothing, filters everyone. I feel bad for them now. I really do, because here's the twist. I thought I was becoming some harem overlord, and instead, I became a commoner simulator, grinding side quests like a beast of burden. But it tracks. It's a screening system. Can't handle the boring grind at the start? You were never lord material. Go home, drink milk. Meanwhile, my own roster is stacked. Elites everywhere, teachers everywhere. Full education coverage basically overnight. Not mass schooling, not aristocratic gatekeeping either. Just focused, personalized training built specifically to squeeze potential out of every single clan member. University-level material finished before 18. Attribute panel unlocked. Then phase 2 kicks in. Work while you study. Everybody climbs toward elite tier eventually. I hug the nearest available teacher, long green hair, plush frame, my favorite thirst quencher, Ishida Yoko. Hiccup. Unlucky timing though. World just refreshed, so only 3 or 4 mothers in the whole family currently have real skills unlocked. Plot-mandated bottleneck. Annoying, but temporary. Right as I'm mentally scheduling tomorrow's final zombie sweep, the system barges in with a global broadcast. Ding! Goblin's lucky time has officially begun. My hand freezes mid-hug. I remember the dusty goblin troop card sitting untouched in my storage ring. So that's what it was building toward. Is it really that simple though? Because the fate energy this event burned was higher than what it cost to save Lin Wei's life. If that conspiracy had actually landed, it could have rewritten the entire human race's fortunes. I glance at Lin Wei. She's serious too. I don't know, but the effect alone is enough to shake every race on the board. Goblins are humanity's chronic disease. They hide where nobody can reach them, then pop out to steal food, kill livestock, kidnap farmers. The infinite world's peasants have it worse than feudal serfs, corrupt lords included, monster invasions on top. Slimes and goblins at the bottom, werewolves and vampires mid-tier. Great demons and evil gods somewhere up in the penthouse, looking down at all of us. Goblin's Lucky Time is basically the Heroes of Might and Magic Creature Week event, except it's goblins getting the buffs. Double experience, faster breeding, random magic item drops. A minor nuisance turns into a full-blown plague overnight. Weak kingdoms just die, especially the ones already circling the drain. And the bigger question hits me harder. What kind of entity has the juice to grant a global blessing like that? Energy doesn't spawn from nothing. Something huge happened somewhere far above my pay grade, something I haven't even glimpsed yet. Is that the same something spawning second-generation gods like Lin Wei onto the expedition road? The board's getting more crowded and more dangerous, and nobody's told me the rules yet. Also unclear how long the buff lasts. Some versions run for decades, centuries even. That's a nightmare clock for a baby lord like me. Stronger monsters straight out the gate means development gets harder across the board. One careless moment, one goblin frenzy nobody caught in time, and a whole territory goes dark. My scout, Lady Mei Fen, keeps my own turf clean enough, but I can't watch everyone else's yard. Crossfire risk is real. Filed under not good news, deal with it later. Life goes on, though. Next morning, all 800 members of the Yuhuan family roll out in full force. Final target, 3,000 leftover zombies holed up on Shiga Island. Everyone shows up, no exceptions, partly for morale, partly because I don't trust the enemy not to pull one last trick with this many bodies still on the board. Let's begin. I don't waste words, just a nod. Attack, Sakura overlays. 100th unit, follow me. 2nd unit, we're still running homemade spears because archer tier gear hasn't unlocked yet. Messy weapons, real results. 7 days of drills plus the dual comprehension buff means most of the squad basically has primary spear mastered by instinct now. They look like actual soldiers. A few get scratched, a few get bitten. Doesn't matter. Everyone's carrying the zombie virus antibody now, so the scary part's neutralized. Rest goes to Hayashi Akari's med team. Building that medical core has quietly been one of my top priorities. Internal damage still needs experience grinding to fix properly, but external wounds are Akari's specialty, and the nurse squad backs her up nicely. Nobody's losing sleep over injuries anymore. 2 hours in, I take the city hall. Layered zombie defense, cracked open floor by floor. And of course, there's a familiar face waiting at the top. Kageyama Takeshi. Corpse on the ground, mid-transformation. Not finished. The zombie luck was clearly making one last desperate play, trying to catalyze an intelligent unit before the war ended. And honestly, who's a better candidate than the guy with protagonist-tier plot luck baked into his soul? Problem is, it ran out of time. Because somebody, hi, that's me, had been quietly farming favorability every single night, which meant the world's death energy pool wasn't feeding this ritual fast enough. No juice, no upgrade. The classroom of the elite girls go quiet at the scene. They weren't close to him. The academy plot never even properly started here, but he was still technically a classmate, and that's enough to sting. Ding! You have eliminated an excellent grade zombie. He doesn't resist, so I just decompose him on the spot. No ceremony, no speech. That's it. Real victory, confirmed. Then the last zombie in the whole city blinks out of existence, and for one single second, the entire world just stops. Time itself. Frozen. I feel it, barely, a flicker at the edge of perception, because apparently my status is just high enough to catch the tail end of something huge. Nobody else notices, not even Lin Wei. Somewhere above all of us, a golden eye was watching that exact moment. Filed under things I still don't understand. Then the system exhales, catches its breath, and speaks. Ding! Battle ended. Settlement beginning. Evaluation. Incredible human fate defense war. There's an actual pause here, like the system itself is impressed. Then the payout starts, and it does not stop. Reward 1. 3 free attribute points. Strength, agility, constitution, +1 each. Then my Rose Rotifer, the mutated wonder item riding shotgun in my inventory, floats up on its own, and every uncollected corpse scattered across this pocket world gets vacuumed straight into it under the system's raw authority. A wave of green light spills out and rains down across everyone standing behind me. 3 points for every elite, 1 point for every ordinary clansman. Precise, automatic, 0 waste. I'm standing there, jaw somewhere near the floor. Wait, this feels like it's spending my savings to pay everyone's salary. Turns out that's exactly what happened. Zombie decomposition energy, redirected straight into payroll. Then the notification lands the real punchline. Ding! Wonder item reset complete. Tracking mark erased. Safe to use. I hit the floor so fast, dust flies up. Mom, I was wrong. Because apparently that thing had a homing beacon on it this entire time, and I never noticed. If I'd strutted out of that first Murloc dungeon flexing this Rotifer in the open, something out there would have hunted me down before I ever hit level 2. That's why the golden eye had its sights on me. Enemy loot came pre-installed with a tracking chip, and I've been carrying it around like a normal guy with normal luggage. Use it, everyone. Just use it, I mutter, still kneeling. The girls lose it laughing. Arrogant to humble in 4 seconds flat. Apparently that's comedy gold around here. Whatever. I earned that near heart attack. But here's the thing. I'm not actually mad, because rewards are conservation locked. If this reset had converted purely from raw human fate, later payouts would have been smaller. Getting it siphoned from decomposition energy instead means everybody just leveled up their aptitude for free, and I still get to keep hoarding fate for the good stuff. Take me, for example. All 3 physical stats hit 9 after this. 1 more Night Squire level, and I cap out completely. 2 extra points of intelligence later, and I'm sitting right next to Lin Wei's tier, perfectly positioned for the next world. Ayame, Hana, the rest of the top fighters. Same story. Capped physicals incoming. Nice. Saved a fortune. Reward round 2 starts immediately. My second wonder item, the Twin Lotus, rises up, and a mysterious purple card materializes on one of its blooms, radiating an aura that makes the whole squad go silent. A god, a demigod talent card. Even Lin Wei is stunned. Turns out dumping a sliver of luck into that rotifer keeps paying dividends, drop after drop. The card sinks into me slowly. Reward 2. Congratulations, you're the new Lord of Souls. Divine skill granted, hypnosis. Please select a bonus divine skill. Enhanced hypnosis, psychokinesis, soul shock. My heart's going nuts. Everyone on the expedition road fights over demigod talents like this. Being a lord is fine, sure, but you're still technically mortal. Breaking into demigod tier is the real jump, the one that buys actual longevity. And because of the Twin Lotus, I keep my lord talent on top of the new godhood. No downgrade, full stack. Enhanced hypnosis is probably what a guy like Lyran Jorik would grab. Army building tech with no real cap. Mind control at scale, borderline unfair. Soul shock, meanwhile, is pure combat steroids. Crowd control that basically ignores resistance in a life or death fight. One Piece Conqueror's hockey vibes if you squint. Hypnosis peaks early and fades late game against strong resistance. Soul shock only gets scarier the longer the fight drags. I'll take psychokinesis. No hesitation. My fate guidance flickers once in agreement. Before I can even read the fine print, another change kicks off. The Twin Lotus roots start sprouting fresh, and beside the small blue and purple blooms, a black bud opens up. Card 2. Glowing. Illustration of a very lifelike zombie. There's more? Ding! Your Twin Lotus has grown into the 3-life Lotus. Congratulations. Divinity acquired. Zombie Commander. Divine skill granted. Summon zombie. Please select bonus skill. Dead Man's Pit. Corpse Plague. Sleep of the Dead. Last one. Sleep of the Dead. Zero hesitation again. Dead Man's Pit is an army farm build, feeding zombies off death energy pooled in a pit. Corpse Plague turns bodies into disease incubators, breeding plague zombies specifically. Both efficient. Both not my style, because I'm a druid, not a necromancer with a business plan. Sleep of the Dead flips the whole script, puts zombies into permanent stasis instead, cuts the odds of corpses reanimating into anything nasty later. Development paths limited, mostly Gravekeeper territory, not a combat pipeline. But between the Zombie Commander divinity and the Lord of Souls one stacking together, my future's already locked toward the death element anyway. Retirement skill fits the direction fine. It's not over. Detected resistance to the zombie source virus. Microorganism divinity unlocked. Divine skill granted. Microorganism manipulation. You're just latching on to me at this point, huh? I turned down one virus skill 5 seconds ago, and the system just force-fed me a related one anyway. Unbelievable. Accessing an entire divine profession outright, not just a wisp of borrowed info like Lin Wei got with her war god trace last time. This is the deep version. Theory plus practice, both handed over free of charge. Normally you build toward demigod through slow, natural accumulation. Getting handed the whole profession is rare enough to be basically a glitch. Lucky card drop? Or mom the system quietly subsidizing me because my fate reserves are running thin, thanks to the demon vine draining me dry. Either way, I'm not complaining. That's also exactly why Lin Wei pushed so hard to recruit every ordinary girl into the family. Speaking of her, she gets her own reward drop. Ding! Congratulations, Dawn Divinity unlocked, Divine Skill. Granted, Sunlight Control. Even I'm shocked by that one. Sun Tier Divinity is nothing to sneeze at. Though, given she's a wood elf, and her name literally means sun-adjacent things, maybe it tracks a little too neatly. As if. She says, eyes crinkled into happy little crescents, absolutely delighted with herself. Best part? The 3-life Lotus isn't a solo perk for me anymore. Lin Wei can now run 2 full divine tracks simultaneously, Goddess of Agriculture and Goddess of Dawn, without one strangling the other. Normally, stacking a second divinity onto an existing one just gives a minor bump, 1.5 times power tops, because they'd fight each other for resources internally. Separated cleanly through the Lotus, though, her output jumps at least 5-fold. No wonder she's glowing. Shame the other girls are still NPC tier and can't cash in on rewards like this. If Ayame could, I don't think Mom the system would have been stingy either. It's not unwillingness, it's just not how the rules work yet. The moment Lin Wei's first ray of sunlight touches the 3-life Lotus, it transforms again, splitting into 12 differently colored seeds. Ding! You have obtained the precious plant, 12-colored lotus, elemental inheritance granted. Stay calm, I tell myself, mostly failing. Compared to fresh divinities, this one's easier to process. Mortal brain-friendly loot, finally. Last time a single attribute green lotus ran 500 gold coins, roughly 5 million in real purchasing power. Not cheap, but at least it's priceable. 12 of these at once, all permanent tier instead of one-time use? Mom's feeling generous today, I mutter, giving an invisible thumbs up skyward. Last wonder item comes out, the fate-devouring demon vine. Cursed origin, ridiculous utility. This thing guarantees my whole family stops fearing enemy fate-based magic entirely. Curses, prediction spells, anything running on fate energy just gets swallowed and converted, basically feeding the vine free lunch. Enemies without soul binding or high-tier fate defenses are just donating snacks at this point. Its old function's still intact too, the real-time war sandbox tracking, plus the soul leaf ability that reads everyone's soul aura. Lyran Jorik used that exact trick to catch betrayal early back in the day. Post-merge, it goes further, adding spatial power on top, letting Lin Wei build her own belief network through it. Demigods can normally communicate remotely with believers, sure, but the cost is brutal and the efficiency's low. With the vine wired in, faith transmission triples in efficiency, and believer costs drop hard at the same time. Double win. Bonus: any god defiler type trying to steal divine power through the vine gets turned into fertilizer instantly. Built-in security system. Ding! Intense fate fluctuation detected. Skill comprehended. Echo of fate. Echo of fate. Everything leaves a trace. Every action echoes. Value gets measured automatically. This is literally the perfect replacement for my manual contribution system. My eyes light up. The old point system ran on manual tracking, slow, error-prone, and eventually someone always finds a loophole to abuse. Not out of malice, just human nature grinding a system down over time. Best fix is removing the human bias entirely. This does exactly that. Fairer for everyone, and it kills the need for a whole department of number crunchers I'd otherwise have to staff. Savings all around. Everyone gets automatic access to Echo of Fate through the Vine connection going forward. A random reward skill, somehow the most useful thing in the whole payout. After the vine settles, it grows a new branch straight into the rose rotifer, and once that link completes, a 2-meter fruit sapling erupts out of nowhere. Ding! Precious plant obtained. Golden apple tree. Finally, Lin Wei says, practically glowing. Wait, is this normal? Even I feel a little cursed by this one. Turns out the golden apple tree's nickname is the child-giving tree, except this variant's been quietly retooled into specifically a daughter-giving tree. Everyone within earshot goes red, including me. Then the final drop. Ding! Precious plant obtained. Wu Shao wheat. A single wheat stalk drifts in from somewhere that isn't the system directly, more like a gift from the world's own ascension process. If it were purely system loot, this would honestly be excessive. Terrain modification commencing. The system's voice yanks everyone up into a bird's-eye view of the pocket world. White light sweeps across the map, and every modern structure, minus roads and bridges, gets wiped clean in an instant. My spatial talent flares, and the whole dungeon starts reshaping under it. Nobody minds losing the old buildings. The City of Hope hasn't even unlocked modern housing tech yet, and without proper ley line support, those buildings were going to crumble anyway. Ding! Wonder obtained. Fujimi City Volcano. Right where Hachimitsu Academy's hot springs used to bubble, a small volcano rises out of geothermal pressure, magma trickling briefly before settling. A fortress locks in against its base, single road in, chasm out front, textbooks defensible. East side, mountains rise and fall, settling into a plateau ring, a natural wall birds can barely cross. Bluestone roads thread between the peaks, isolating pockets into defensible canyons, fortress tucked deep inside. North, where the old government stronghold sat, a harbor fortress climbs up, terrain sloping steep from south to north, only the bay itself walkable. Everywhere else, not even monkeys get through. Center City gets smoothed flat, rivers rearranged into farmable order, roads realigned along the ley current, self-maintaining as long as nothing wrecks them outright. 3 fortresses ring a massive port city core. Currently, just 2 empty wall rings, but the future potential is obvious even now. Fujimi City doesn't exist anymore. Long live the City of Hope. I click my tongue at the sheer scale of it. Could I pull this off myself someday, once my spatial powers mature? New life goal unlocked. Ding! Reward obtained. Semi-automated bicycle production factory. Slotted straight into the volcano fortress, geothermal powered. Meanwhile, the northern water fortress islands lock into a steady 30-degree climate, regular rain showers, dozens of acres of rubber trees soaking it up happily. Ding! Natural sea salt field plus semi-automated processing factory obtained. Center of the inner lake, salt field forms on the spot, seawater cycling in on schedule, sunlight doing the rest. Explore the rest yourselves. Enjoy, the system says, sounding almost smug, then goes quiet. Everyone's stunned into silence. We expected generous, we expect this. Is this normal? Lin Wei asks, completely thrown. You've maxed every reward condition available. Since when does a system reorganize terrain? She's never heard of anything like it.
Even a rough version of this, just the fortress and city walls alone, would run 1,000,000 gold coins minimum in raw construction cost. But I like it, she adds, grinning. So this is what living the easy life feels like, she says, finally getting it. We drop straight into the central city. 25 meters of solid stone wall towers over us, and honestly, I nearly tear up. That's the feeling of real security. That's expensive. Above the gate, 4 massive characters spell out City of Hope. Past the outer gate, mostly wasteland until the inner wall, 15 meters this time, and dead center, the Lord's Mansion, still shaped a little like the old Gao City Villa, just scaled up dramatically. Inside, it's a whole different world. Marble floors, marble walls, gorgeous and defensible at once. First floor is over 10 meters tall, could double as an office hall. Second floor is guest suites, fully furnished, because apparently the system also relocated every piece of usable furniture from the old city. 0 renovation needed. Third floor is one giant room, carpet in the center, sofas and tables ringing it, meeting space built in. Ah, comfortable, I groan, sinking into a couch. City-tier lords' mansions apparently come with a built-in stamina recovery buff. Nobody wants to get up. All right, let's talk future development. I pull up the territory panel and share it around. Territory name, City of Hope. Lord, Zhou Feng. Level, village/city-state. Functional buildings, Lord's Mansion, warehouse, ice house, refugee camp. Production, salt field. Military, inner wall, outer wall. Buildable, cottage, well, bonfire, hunting lodge, logging camp, quarry. Population, 95 out of 200. Public sentiment, 80 out of 100. Special buildings, volcano fortress, mountain fortress, island fortress, zombie prison. Wonder, volcano. Development's just food, clothing, housing, transport, right? Lin Wei says, flipping through the warehouse inventory. Housing, we're fine with the mansion for now. Transport, there's bicycles in storage already. Roads hold up as long as nothing wrecks them. Priority's the agriculture system and unlocking more tech fast. She's right. We've got food reserves, but eating through savings isn't a strategy. It's your department, my lady, I tell her. She's literally born with the agriculture tech tree pre-installed. I ping my scout. Lady Mayfen, anything useful nearby? Livestock? Yes, over a dozen water buffalo close by. Plenty of cattle and dairy cows, too. Also donkeys, sheep, horses. Relief. Livestock means labor efficiency goes way up. Warehouse doesn't have much modern farming gear, but early-era tools are easy to reproduce. A few tries, and the blacksmith shop handles it fine, unlike late-game materials that eat 100 failed attempts before success. Any predators spawned? Wolves? Tigers? Yes, spawned, because this world runs on raw geomantic energy now, and that energy carries genetic templates for everything, animals included, sometimes even demons in higher-tier worlds. Goblins are the classic example. Low intelligence, but they grow if left unchecked. None yet. Good. We can take it slow then. Some wildlife roams free while manpower focuses on priority tasks. We also need people managing the fortresses, factories, salt field, rubber groves, Kana adds, backed up by Sakura. Doesn't need full staffing, just minimum upkeep. Fair point. I'd honestly forgotten that part. The bicycle line alone is basically black market technology for this era. We can't even manufacture tires locally yet. If it wasn't semi-automated, I'd assumed the system was trolling me. Everyone chips in ideas, small stuff like food logistics up to full city planning, and by the end, we've got a working rough draft. Elite talent pool, university educated across the board, theory backing up whatever practical gaps exist. I couldn't ask for a better founding team. Rest tonight. Everyone starts fresh tomorrow. War phase over. Peaceful farming phase begin. But one thing left first. I head to the backyard with everyone trailing behind, curious, and pull out the elven mother tree seed. Lin Wei, get ready. Guide the roots like we planned. Okay. She activates communicate with plants, steering the tree's growth so it doesn't wreck the ley lines under the city. Normally, these trees can't be planted inside human cities. Their roots naturally hijack the local energy grid, starving the city core slowly to death. But this tree doesn't have that stubborn instinct. It grows however you guide it, provided you can actually control it. And between my spatial sense mapping the underground and Lin Wei steering the roots, the 3-life lotus smooths the whole handoff. A rumble, and a 10-meter tree bursts out of the ground in seconds flat. So comfortable, someone sighs, as a cool wave of relief washes over everyone standing nearby. Life energy, pure and simple, the same stuff that keeps elves running for centuries. System, unlock the Moon Well, Sun Well, and Starlight Well blueprints.
Unlocked. Construction begins immediately. 3 massive roots extending outward, building slow and steady. Normally, these wells eat premium materials. Starlight stone alone runs 2,000 gold apiece, 50 pieces minimum per well. Money pit central. But the elven mother tree's roots substitute in cleanly, cutting the cost down to a fraction, because these wells were always meant to be built alongside a tree like this in the first place. Estimated construction. Sunwell, 12 hours. Moonwell, 10. Starlight well, 6. Total cost, 150 luck gold coins. Start producing sprites. 20 available. I summon them all, and little glowing orbs seep out of the tree, gathering around me like cotton candy come to life. Cute. Harmless looking. Deceptively durable, actually, since these are pure soul creatures, sometimes born from elf spirits reincarnating under a tree after death. Danger sense sharp, survival instincts sharper, basically impossible to lose one by accident. Lin Wei pouts, mildly annoyed that the sprites gravitate toward me instead of her, genuine elf blood and everything. She grabs one and squeezes it anyway, half affection, half revenge. Free labor units, officially online. They wrap around trees, stone, ore veins, harvesting without damaging the source, then haul the raw energy back to the mother tree, which converts it into usable material. Efficient. Zero waste, unlike human lumberjacks who always end up with scrap piles. Downside, sprite-grown wood ages fast, weak for weapon crafting, great for houses. Bowstrings made from it barely last a tenth as long as the real thing. Fine trade-off for a territory trying to grow fast. Small grove just outside the wall, conveniently stocked with fir, pine, oak. Not an accident. I mark it off for a logging camp. Confirm, 5 luck gold coins. Confirmed. 3 hours estimated. 10 sprites head out to start gathering, and I spend another 5 coins each on underground timber and stone warehouses, simple burrows that convert raw materials into standardized units. No waste, no wonky dimensions. Better than anything a human carpenter could manage, even with modern tools. I take the remaining 10 sprites to a nearby pavilion. "Show me the precious plants," Lin Wei says, practically vibrating. I hand her the earth element lotus seed, one of the 12 colors. She goes full doting mother mode immediately, pouring divine power into it like she's feeding a newborn. "Little baby, mommy's got something delicious." I rub my temple. She's the literal mother of a lotus seed now, apparently, which makes me the father, I guess. Great. New life achievement unlocked. Divine power pours in, and the seed sprouts fast, blooming into a palm-sized lotus, crystalline apricot yellow, warm like dawn light, but grounded like actual earth. The ground splits open under her guidance, forming a 2.5-meter tunnel, basically a mini boring machine running on luck gold coins instead of diesel. 100 coins later, a full basement opens up, supported by tree roots. Costly, sure, but cheaper than digging it manually, and infinitely faster. Underground development, finally viable, I mutter, mentally cataloging everything this unlocks. Mineral deposits form easier underground. Mining's always been the pain point for human factions everywhere, and now it's basically solved. There's a military angle, too. Underground spaces attract dark creatures, ratmen, troglodytes, insect swarms, and clearing them out manually is agonizing work. Worse, the tree roots themselves radiate so much life energy they could become a monster nesting ground if left unguarded. Developing underground properly isn't optional, it's inevitable. Once the divine power settles, a 3-meter lotus platform forms in the basement center, glowing gently. "Zhou Feng." "Come play," Lin Wei calls, rolling around on it happily. "Go play by yourself," I tell her, distracted by something more interesting. The ground beneath the whole small world feels sturdier now. 1 city heart, 3 fortress hearts, and now the mother tree stacking on top. This world could probably shrug off a full spatial storm at this point. Earthquake risk, tsunami risk, both dropping hard. Bonus, the earth element lotus purifies earth energy directly, boosting mineral output across the board, and building capacity climbs with it, since every rune-powered structure draws from the same energy pool the city heart manages. "What should we name it?" Lin Wei asks, biting her finger, thinking hard. "Earth element lotus sounds clunky. How about little yellow lotus?" I nearly choke on air. "Apricot yellow earth lotus, final answer." Decided before anyone else can weigh in, because little yellow was one bad naming session away from becoming permanent. "Fine," she agrees after a beat. The lotus platform glows warm and gold, lighting the whole basement like daylight, sprites flickering around it like fireflies. Even minor danger sends them straight back into the tree roots for safety. Shame sprites only spawn 1 per day, I note, walking back out to check the refugee camp, a building baked into every territory type, regardless of terrain, guaranteeing survival, even out in the middle of nowhere. Random assignment, no family binding, mostly low-quality recruits, but occasionally a hero slips through the cracks. Right now it can only refresh 10 people, all farmers, not worth the investment yet. There's also the tavern, the high-tier talent spawn point, 10 gold coins a year for room and board, letting recruits scout the territory before committing. More of an employment relationship than a lottery. Back at the mansion, Sakura's think tank has a report ready. Kana, Mei, Nozaki, Airi, all crunching development plans and contribution distribution. No major issues. Echo of Fate is active, Sakura reports. Consider the Just Decree too, Linwei adds. Fair rights for every citizen, scaling bonuses based on execution level, over 90% triggers 100% enthusiasm boost, 50% less crime, doubled resident attraction. Full 100% execution is a fantasy nobody's ever hit. I sign off on it anyway. Free rule bonus, easy yes.
Manual contribution tracking, officially retired. Tasks now show up automatically on everyone's attribute panel instead of getting assigned by hand. The whole family basically gets its own divine intranet, My Divinity and Lin Wei's as the processing core, the Demon Vine as the network cable. Really doing this? Lin Wei asks quietly, testing the new system herself. Concordance, same as you did. She smiles at that, satisfied. We're talking about the road to true godhood here, not just demigod awakened status. Divine power right now is a diluted trickle. Ascending further means leveling up the dimension itself, which requires stacking real accumulated divine power first. 3 classic paths exist. Blood sacrifice, fast but volatile, corrupted easily by resentment baked into the power itself. Mass worship, the standard model, godly image plus believer devotion. And the third path, the one we picked without even discussing it out loud, scientific godhood. Learn the system, master the underlying laws, run it like infrastructure instead of theater. That's also why Lin Wei never distances herself from the family. She runs the household like an actual matriarch and gets worshipped for it anyway. Cooperative relationship, not a hierarchy. Faith flows up, protection and benefits flow down. Believer scale used to be capped by processing power, basically how much attention a god could physically give each follower. Echo of Fate solves that instantly. Automated faith tracking, transparent point balances, redeemable blessings on demand, no divine babysitting required. It's not free though, nothing in the infinite world is. This path costs more effort up front, doesn't lock believers in as hard, allegiance can shift once people get what they want. But it's stable long-term, doesn't collapse if faith numbers dip suddenly, and doesn't force us to slow down the era's progress just to keep the flock ignorant and loyal, unlike the mass worship model, which eventually clashes with human self-awareness itself. Also, my Lord talent already guarantees empire-scale faith on its own, so church politics can't really threaten us. Lin Wei knew that from day one, honestly, back when I was just a nobody elite she was quietly grooming. Guaranteed loyalty, zero betrayal risk. That's why she committed so fully, so early. Overnight, the whole family dives into studying the new contribution system instead of gossiping. Yoshida Miki scrolls through her panel first, catching the announcements. Point rewards for flagging unfair mechanics. Agriculture-focused task priority for now. Daily necessities deducted by points starting tomorrow, though food and sleep stay free. Very good, she murmurs, impressed despite herself. Our little boyfriend really is Lord material, strategic in war, sharp in management too. Wealth distribution done right keeps any system running, company or kingdom, same math. She checks job assignments and gets supervisor of island fortress and salt field, which honestly surprises her. She expected someone like Ayame or Hana to land that, but salt's non-negotiable infrastructure in any territory, and this slot practically guarantees upward mobility. She checks Fujita Yoko's assignment too, curious, since Yoko's a fellow business mind she genuinely respects. Yoko lands the bicycle workshop at the Volcano Fortress, plus fortress oversight. Bold placement. Nobody's hoarding the top jobs for themselves. Her older daughter gets territory fishery resource exploration, a great fit since she swims well, decent future track toward fishing or navy work. Younger daughter Yumi, still a university student really, shadows Lin Wei on agriculture with occasional patrols. No complaints there. Lin Wei's basically royalty at this point, more revered than any prime minister Mickey ever had to bow to back home. Yumi, behave and study hard under the goddess. You too, Kana, she adds, addressing Yumi's best friend Morimoto Kana. I know, Mom, I'm an adult, Yumi says, then immediately turns traitor. Weird though, did your charisma stat drop? That can't be right. Looking for a smack, brat? No, really, Auntie, you're overflowing with charisma, keep it up, Kana chimes in, way too sincere. My idol's handsome and capable, a perfect man's rare, she adds, dreamy-eyed. You're teasing Auntie too now, Mickey sighs, rubbing Kana's cheeks half-heartedly, fully defeated. At least Kana's laughing again, properly, which means she's actually healing. Small mercies. Across the household, everyone's landing solid roles. Fukuda Akane becomes chief steward of the mansion. Morita Rin takes the Eastern Mountain Fortress, plus part-time police work. The teacher squad, Mikage Yuki, Ishida Yoko, Shimizu Nao, Abe Sora, Kimura Haruka, Ito Nozomi, all get formalized as instructors. Ayame and the top-tier fighters start building the military system from scratch. No active combat needed, but daily drilling stays mandatory.
Dual comprehension keeps skill growth fast enough that resting feels like a waste. Knight profession ends up the physical default, not because warrior or archer are bad, but because knights carry noble status automatically in this world and can do everything a warrior can, plus more, foot knight style, even without a mount. Magic side options include Nun for direct believers, life inheritance branching into druid, life mage, beast tamer, tree shepherd, breeder, those slots are limited early on. Elemental mage via the 12-colored lotus exists too, though mage tiers are notoriously weak until late game. And the newest track, Mind Mage, running off my psychokinesis skill. Speaking of which, I finally understand why Fate Guidance pushed me towards psychokinesis. It's absurdly convenient. Multiple invisible hands, demigod tier processing behind them, multitasking documents while getting anything I need with a single thought. Total hands-free living. Why didn't this exist earlier, I groan, remembering frozen fingers from doing laundry in winter, back before any of this. What's wrong? Lin Wei asks. Let me show you something good. I send 2 invisible hands to massage her shoulders. She nearly yelps, matriarch composure cracking on the spot. Turns out psychokinesis feels exactly like a real touch, no difference at all, because it's literally an extension of me, same as my own hand. Which means everyone who's felt my actual hands immediately clocks who's behind the invisible massage. Fujita Yoko figures it out in under 3 seconds and drags me in by the collar. Yoshida Miki stiffens the same way. No hiding from familiar touch, apparently. Bigger discovery, though. Enough psychokinetic force and flying becomes possible. Clara tests this theory immediately by launching herself at me without warning. Little Liu, I want to fly too. You absolute menace. Still catch her, though. Turns out this dual cultivation technique isn't just fun in games, either. It drains stamina from the girls, but keeps my body and spirit locked at peak condition, better than deep sleep ever managed. Nobody's shortchanged, though. It's mutual, not extraction. Everyone gets law pressure exposure, followed by proper rest, and side benefits stack quietly. Morita Hana's mental stat ticked up 1 point just from a good night's sleep near a breakthrough threshold. We could run agriculture and education in parallel, Abe Sora suggests over breakfast. Agreed, the other teachers chime in. Lin Wei nods, so I approve it. I'd wanted agriculture stable first, but confidence is high, and she's got the tech tree memorized anyway. Hoshinomiya, Chabashira, we're merging your old academy into the Hope system, calling it Morning Glory Academy. Named after Lin Wei's title, felt more natural than slapping Hope University on it. Understood, nobody objects. No more cutthroat elimination system, though. Civil and martial development, side by side. Everyone agrees, because in a high martial world, you can't skip combat training and expect to survive long term. Just run it aristocratic style, basically what we're already doing, Chabashira offers, and the room goes quiet as everyone realizes I might have been planning this from day one. Mass education gambles on luck for who succeeds. Aristocratic style adapts the teacher to the student instead, catching talent immediately, correcting character flaws before they calcify. Costs more teachers per student, sure, but we've got plenty, and half the actual teaching load disappears anyway, since these kids basically self-teach through enlightenment once they touch the material. Zhou Feng really is something, someone murmurs, admiration building fast. Curriculum gets restructured on the spot. Primary through high school focused on discovering talent and character. University level splitting into specialization. By the time the room's done adding suggestions, my original plan's been fully crowdsourced without me saying another word. Then the actual students find out. Ah! A chorus of despair rings out. Apocalypse ended yesterday, and this morning's gift is homework. Suddenly zombies don't sound so bad. Lord Male God, please, just a few days off. My deity inbox floods with complaints, mostly joking, though the sentiment's real enough. Even split between my demigod status and physical body, I can still manage countless believers at once. Could even spin up an AI avatar version of myself if it came to that. Why does being a god feel like being the biggest scumbag in the room? I mutter, watching my own harem math spiral further out of monogamy with every passing day. Whatever the case, a family-run kingdom's clearly the right model for this territory going forward. Lin Wei's already restructured my whole schedule around it. Turns out low-tier telekinesis caps out around leather armor level protection. But for freeing up hands during daily chores, it's more than enough. Cuts cooking time by a third, even at low proficiency. Only real cost is mental fatigue, which everyone's adjusted to by now. So I'm basically everyone's free labor tool, I sigh, too tired to even fight it. The massage sessions after dinner become a nightly ritual. Full body, 0 blind spots, genuinely relaxing. Then requests start escalating. Clara wants a psychokinetic auto-adjusting bed. Ito Nozomi wants a fully enveloping recliner for reading. Stretching routines get outsourced entirely to invisible hands. Yoshida Miki, cursed with back pain from certain, structural burdens, becomes my most frequent client. Turns out most of the girls needed this more than they let on, purely because average family strength sits near D-rank territory, terrifyingly high for casual living. One hand just doesn't cut it anymore. Fine, counts as skill training, I decide, because this accidentally solves something I'd been quietly worried about. Bodily memory anchors emotional bonds, and everything's moved too fast for anyone to properly memorize each other's presence. Ordinary members especially, still nameless in the system, housewife or office worker or nurse types, could barely hold under law pressure for a full minute before. I'd stretch that to 5 minutes through sheer effort. Now, actual long-form closeness is possible. Deepening bonds the slow way finally becomes an option. Not bad. Not bad at all. Morning routine wraps. Everyone changes into work gear, and the whole family disperses according to assignment. Hana leads a squad to round up water buffalo for the coming land reclamation push. Mickey, glowing with renewed charisma, inspects the salt fields. The aunties tally everyone's food preferences for meal planning. And Lin Wei, goddess duties aside, gets to work planting all 12 colors of lotus seed: earth, fire, wind, water, ice, lightning, life, soul, slaughter, purification. The first 6 mapping straight onto elemental mage professions. Life and soul essential to every living thing. Slaughter, probably a byproduct of how many deaths this dungeon racked up. Purification, just baked into the lotus by nature. Beside the mother tree, 3 small ponds now sit stacked by size. The Starlight Well, Moon Well, Sun Well. Technically ponds for now until the tree grows further. Daytime keeps 2 of them dormant, but the Sun Well's still active, golden threads of captured sunlight rippling across its surface. Wow, it's really beautiful, someone breathes. Below the 3 sits a larger pond that wasn't there last night. This wasn't here before, I say, confused. Lin Wei explains it's not technically a system building, more like a storage container, a natural byproduct of the 3 wells feeding into it at a set ratio, brewing into a healing potion over time. Right now the output's weak, barely a single point of health per bottle, since the wells haven't accumulated enough light yet. Give it time, and the potency climbs steadily, all the way toward true rebirth potion tier eventually, either through slow natural collection or risky alchemical shortcuts that waste more than they're worth. No rush, I decide. Good things are worth the wait, and I'm not about to choke myself out of patience over a bottle of health juice. The territory's alive now, not surviving, building. And somewhere above all of it, that golden eye is still watching, patient, curious, waiting to see exactly what a slum orphan does with an entire kingdom growing under his feet. So there I was, Zhou Feng, lord of a city that didn't exist last month, walking into my own refugee camp like it's a vending machine that dispenses trauma. The building came bundled with the system, upgrades itself as the territory grows. Nice way of saying my slum has better tech support than most modern cities. 10 new slots. Ding! Welcome. Please recruit responsibly. I scroll the list, and there he is. A bandit. Elite grade. Face like a brick that got in a fight and lost. Profession tag reads Bandit, Elite, which is system speak for future headache. I check my bracelet. Wrath and greed both redlining, practically black. The panel won't even show me his other stats. Fairness, apparently. Everyone gets the same mystery box, good or cursed. Yeah, no. Not today, buddy. Some talent isn't worth the paperwork. Not letting a walking crime spree pollute 9 months of hard-earned good vibes. So I skip the free murder hobo and grab a serf's daughter instead. She's maybe 4'3", rags for clothes. I can count her ribs through the fabric like she's a xylophone somebody forgot to feed. System says 17. My eyes say 11 tops. She just stands there. No fear, no hope, nothing. Just waiting for the next bad thing. Even Kana has tears in her eyes, my unbreakable optimist. The girl who shrugged off a mind control curse like it was a rough Monday. Watching this kid not react to anything at all. That's the real horror stat in this game, not the monsters. The look in a kid's eyes when she's stopped expecting kindness. I've seen goblins with more spark on day 1, and goblins are basically ambulatory mushrooms with a work ethic. Next slot, an elderly serf. Cloudy eyes, hunched spine, looks 80, 90 maybe. System says 40. 40. I don't make a joke here, I can't. This is the part of the tour nobody claps for. I try healing her with life energy anyway. Of course I do. I'm an idiot with a god complex and a soft heart. Doesn't work. Some damage isn't a debuff, it's just years, stacked wrong. No cure in the patch notes. I can't save her. I can give her something else. Saito Kana shows up mid-crisis to report on the sauerkraut workshop. My empire runs on pickled cabbage and emotional whiplash. I hand the 2 of them off to her. Take them to your mom, bath first, new clothes, then let them rest. Kana nods like she's been handed a sacred mission, which, fair, she basically has. She's got the diligent trait tucked in her stat block. The system, quietly, telling me she's worth it. The girl keeps her serf tag, for now. Not because I'm cruel, because a title with 0 rules attached is just chaos wearing a name tag. She'll earn her way out through contribution points, same ladder everyone else climbs. Food and comfort, though, same as anyone in the City of Hope, no exceptions. I just want her to learn the plot twist. Effort actually pays off here. Not like the other plot, where effort just gets you noticed by someone worse. The grandmother gets a different ending. Saito Ayumi is already waiting, because word travels fast in a city this small. She scrubs them down, and under the rags are bodies that look mummified. Kana, doing the washing, just starts crying. Can't stop, doesn't try to. When they step out of the bath, wearing clothes they never dared imagine owning, they touch the fabric like it might bite, like softness is a trap. Suzuki Megumi brings porridge, 2 bowls, meat porridge, cooled on purpose. She knows starving stomachs and hot food don't mix. She was right to worry. The smell of rice and actual meat wipes out every ounce of dignity these two have left. Faces in the bowls, full commitment. Warmth spreads. Reality sets in. This isn't a dream they'll wake up from. Tears drip straight into the porridge. Neither of them cares. They just eat faster, like the meal might vanish if they blink too long. That's the whole tragedy of the bottom rung, condensed into a bowl of soup. I built a city. Half the point of it is this exact moment. Kana bails before she cries again in front of everyone, mumbles something about having somewhere to be. Tactical retreat achieved. I take the loss on public sentiment tracking that day, don't even check the number. Some math you let sit. Cut to outside the walls. I've got a farm to babysit, and a goddess who runs it like a religion. Linway's already got 50 acres reclaimed, fast greens going in. Purple back veg, chrysanthemum greens, chives, bok choy, the whole produce aisle of a world that used to have grocery stores. Half a month, she says, and the vegetable supply loops positive on its own. I ask about seeds, because seeds are the actual endgame resource nobody respects until the famine hits. She puffs up like a proud peacock, tells me the life green lotus handles vitality now. No slow generations of careful breeding required. Cheat code, basically. Except the cheat code is a sentient magical flower, and I signed up for this willingly. I briefly consider founding a seed company. Then I remember I already run a city, a harem, and a zombie virus side quest. One empire at a time. The plan going forward is simple. Plant every grain and vegetable we can find first, lock in the variety. Scale the big ones later. Rice, wheat, rapeseed, sugarcane, the staples that keep a population fed through winter. Not the ones that just look pretty on a farmer's market table. A modern city's biggest cheat code was never weapons or money. It was the produce aisle. Every seed we already own is a shortcut. Past the part where other lords burn years and luck points unlocking basic crops one at a time. The farmland structure fertilizes for us too. Leyline energy, tuned exactly to what the crop needs that week. No burnout soil, no slow grind toward black soil over a decade. Linway talks to plants like their co-workers who just need clearer instructions. Then there's livestock. Cattle, donkeys, chickens, ducks, all pulling weight now instead of just being future dinner. That's my department. Hypnosis, my personal skill, minus the villain arc version. I don't do full mind control. I nudge, guide, then let go once the habit sticks. Less soul damage, less divine power burned, more animals that just get it. Clara and Sato Mika handle the training side. Cattle are smart enough to negotiate with. Sparrows are stubborn little idiots. But stubborn little idiots eventually breed the trait in, if you're patient across a few generations. And the ones who never learn. Dinner. Sorry, that's just physics. Every crop we harvest also unlocks the matching territory tech. One clean pass instead of the usual grind. Other lords burn luck points unlocking farming knowledge piece by piece, like a slot machine. We just plant the thing and read the patch notes after. Efficient. Slightly unfair. I'm not complaining. Because of all this, we passed the Animal Protection Decree. Working animals get better treatment, better favorability, cheaper domestication. In exchange, no eating the ones who clock in every day. Meat cattle and meat chickens still exist for that job. Clearly labeled, no confusion in the supply chain. Everyone's happy, except the ones who were always going to be dinner anyway. Pasture visit next. Morita Hana runs it now. Whole different person from the anxious girl who used to flinch at everything. 12 water buffalo, 1 beef buffalo, 8 yellow cattle, 20 donkeys, a growing dairy line. The place should smell like a barn. It doesn't. These animals use designated spots. Apparently, even livestock in my city has better manners than half the internet. The cattle pens are molded straight from mushroom stone. Most of the herd already out working the fields. Makes the place look emptier than it actually is. A goblin rolls up with a stone-loaded cart. Everyone turns to stare at me like I'm a forklift with commitment issues. Fine, telekinesis. I lift the stone. It floats over. Everyone goes, ooh, like I just did a magic trick instead of casual physics abuse. So convenient, someone says. Yeah, it is. Most versatile skill in my entire kit. I use it for everything, from war crimes to grocery runs. Hannah asks me to pop my demigod true form, offers to do anything in return. Sexy older sister trying to be cute is an unfair weapon, and she knows it. I'm trying my best, I tell her, and honestly I am, every single night. Dao integration state, infinite mana, zero rest. Some quests you grind whether the loot's good or not. The girls laugh at my suffering. Rude? Accurate. Still rude. We build a new stable. Mushroom stone tech doing the heavy lifting. Structure growing like a time-lapse video while everyone else hauls supplies. Clara shows up on a bike with 20 cattle in tow. Salutes me like a tiny drill sergeant. Hands the herd to Lin Wei. Mission complete. From there we fly. Sort of. Telekinesis, full send. Whole squad hovering 2 meters off the ground at nearly 50 kilometers an hour. Not high enough to matter if we drop. High enough that everyone screams anyway, like it's the best roller coaster in a world with 0 roller coasters. We're flying, someone yells. Yeah, we are. Badly. For about 30 minutes before my mental stamina taps out. Then bicycles. Like a bunch of superheroes who ran out of budget halfway through the movie. Risa clicks her tongue about my stamina needing work. I glare. I promise consequences. She pretends not to be terrified. She is definitely terrified. Kana and the others pile on immediately, promising to help her tonight. Group chat equivalent of throwing a teammate under a bus and calling it teamwork. Risa's cursing internally, I can tell. She remembers exactly how last night ended. It wasn't with her winning. Outside the house, though, everyone behaves. Hands stay where hands belong. Whatever chaos runs the household after dark, the City of Hope keeps its public reputation spotless. Honestly, might be the most disciplined thing about this whole operation. Volcanic Fortress is next stop. Closest thing my world has to a black technology conspiracy theory that turned out to be true. Fujita Yoko meets us underground, heat rising the deeper we go, until we hit a wall of warmth that means one thing: magma. The factory is built directly on top of an active volcano. Subtlety was never on the roadmap. Runes pull rubber and iron straight out of molten rock. One line makes tires, inner tubes, pumps. Another line pulls iron and forges high-carbon steel for frames. Heavy frames, sure, but nobody in my city is exactly weak. Heavy just means it survives everything. Then she shows me a tire the size of a cargo wagon wheel. My brain short-circuits a little. Rubber wheels change everything. Roads last longer. Logistics stop being a nightmare. Every other lord out there is still stuck on wooden wheels, like it's the actual Stone Age. We just skipped a tech tier. I may have picked up Yuki and spun her around twice out of pure joy. She turns the color of a ripe apple. Worth it. Screws, nuts, steel wire, even short iron wire pulled straight from different points in the molten line. Yoko explains it all with the calm pride of a woman who accidentally invented the Industrial Revolution as a side hustle. Then, the actual weapons. Fine-grade quality on the first real batch. Powered by rune-fed furnaces running near 2,000 degrees. 2,500 at full burn. That's not craftsmanship, that's cheating with extra steps. I love it. An average weapon out in the wild is poor grade, sold for a single silver coin. Fine grade goes for a full gold coin, easy. Maybe 2, for a blade like the one in my hand. My starting capital, back before Lin Wei bailed me out, didn't even hit 1 gold coin total. This furnace alone prints more wealth per blacksmith per day than most lords see in a week. I keep it small on purpose. 3 blacksmiths on weapons, everyone else on farming tools instead. Fine-grade hoes bump work efficiency 30%, and my people need to eat before they need to fight. Then the Fire Lotus breaks the magma surface. Slow-motion special effect, glowing warm red. The whole underground workshop drops 30 degrees in an instant. Temperature control, built into a flower. Sure, why not? Yamashita Kotone rides it down like she owns the place, tackles me into a hug, sweat and all. Sweet face, absolute menace underneath. My favorite kind of danger. Don't let the cute act fool you. Reigning queen of watching people suffer while pretending she had nothing to do with it. Second in command under Lin Wei for a reason. I've learned that the hard way, more than once. She and her 2 blacksmith trainees have been mapping the volcano's interior. 1/3 scouted so far. A dozen underground caverns already logged, most nearly as large as the current factory floor. Yamashita Haruna's the one drawing it all up, calm and quiet, uploading a full model straight to the family database. Kotone just takes the credit for bravery points. Even at only 1/3 explored, the math already looks stupid in our favor. If the average cavern runs 4/5 the size of the current workshop, the volcanic fortress isn't a factory. It's a whole industrial district we haven't finished unwrapping yet. Then the real jackpot. Obsidian, mined straight out of the lava thanks to the Lotus. Top-tier building material. 300 physical defense stacked on a single Tier 1 brick. Production's slow, 100 blocks a day, but slow and prized beats fast and worthless every time. Iron ores basically free too, veins refilling themselves off the volcano's own energy. My mining headache just solved itself. Didn't even lift a pickaxe. We tour the whole fortress, ride the Fire Lotus into the magma itself, see a 300-meter glowing red world. Did not expect to find it charming. Here we are. Last stop of the day is a hot spring out back, water boiling on the surface. Somehow a gentle 40 degrees underneath. The system flags it as an associated wonder. Health spring, circulation, metabolism, stress relief, the usual spa menu. Plus something extra, written straight into the world's own rules. On paper, it's a holy site for better skin and less stress. In practice, it's just the world's rules quietly rewarding the people trying to survive it. After the day we just had, nobody's turning that down. Everyone piles in. Exactly as relaxing as it sounds. That's all the detail this recap is giving you. Some things stay between the Lord and the hot spring. We end up staying the night at the fortress. Nobody plans it, nobody regrets it either. Public sentiment ticks up 2 more points, past 90. In a world where most territories struggle to crack 60, that's basically cheating on a test I didn't know I was taking. Grandma passes peacefully not long after, smile on her lips. The girl she came in with, finally strong enough to stand at the memorial without shaking. I couldn't cure her. I could make sure the last chapter of her story didn't read like the first 90. That's the whole city in miniature. A furnace that shouldn't work. A farm that shouldn't grow this fast. A spring that shouldn't exist. And a bottom rung, finally, treated like people instead of inventory. But Paradise has a footnote. I read it the same night everyone else went to bed happy. Somewhere out there, a warlord stands on a hill made of 100,000 reanimated corpses, absolutely convinced he already won. Goblins are surging planet-wide, like the whole map just rolled a hidden event nobody warned me about. Second-generation gods are already seating themselves along a road my expedition hasn't even started walking. And above all of it, that giant golden eye is still watching, still logging every scrappy, underleveled, punching above his weight move I make. Like I'm the interesting file in a very large folder. City of Hope isn't the destination, it's base camp. Ask me again once the eye decides I'm worth blinking at.